Hello, everybody. If it's Wednesday, it's Warhammer, and that must mean it's time for another episode of Warhammer Weekly. Joining me, as always, is my co-host Tom. As you can see, same background, exactly normal. Your name is, in fact, Thomas. That's fine, at least to some degree. A lot of people call you Tom, so it all works. It's all fine. How you doing, Gareth? It's good to talk to you again, man.
I'm good. Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
I am very glad to have you back on the show. TO extraordinaire, one of the hardest working tournament organizers in the world. Just before we started, you said you were going to run how many tournaments this year you're involved in?
14.
I know running 14.
14 GTs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's not counting like the get together you had, because I saw you like sharing some you had like a little get together last weekend. It was like a little mini tournament basically or something. That was like what, 6, 8 people, 10 people, something like that. Big
10 people.
yeah. So you're not even counting those. That's for funsies. That's just
exactly,
for funsies. Yeah. You cannot help. You love the is it the power? Is that what it is? Do you think you love the power?
My wife would say that's exactly it. Yeah.
Right on. We're going to discuss all the new Soggy rules today. By the way, full credit for Soggy versus Dry does go to my co-host. I just want that to be clear. As I said last show, Gareth is the one who created that, and let's all make it a thing. These rules are the Soggy rules, so you can just say, I'm using the Soggy Brood Terror or the Soggy Blood Crushers, as opposed to the Dry version, right? So there you go, for Scourge of Ghyran. Soggy. All right, we all get it. We're all sold. We're all on board. Okay.
And the fact that some of the old War Scrolls, etc., were a little dry. You know?
Indeed. It really does work on multiple levels. So, absolutely. Yeah. Hey, let's start with the news, as always. So, we got some stuff. It's not a huge amount of stuff. We got a few things. Obviously, the big news is all the rules we're going to spend today talking about. We got a little rumor engine. Yet again, I don't care. Stop with the 40K things. Is there ever going to be another AOS rumor engine ever that's not so blatantly obvious 40K? They revealed that Chaos Knight, which I am very excited for, by the way. I love Imperial Knights, so I'm happy to see the new Chaos Knight. And I'll definitely be painting that guy. But like 7 rumor engines were that one night. Just they took pictures of just like every square inch of that thing that was new. So that's fine. Anyways, it's a 40K thing. Who cares? Next up, little old world news. Little heading back to the old world. Now, Gareth, have you messed with the old world at all? Is this ever a thing that interests you?
Not at all.
None. Okay.
Zero interest.
All right, that's fine. Hey, everybody's got their things. I have played some. I gotta say, I kind of like it. It is now maybe that's a little. I don't really suffer from nostalgia. I'm not a nostalgic person, but there's like different elements. It's fun. Also because it gives me a chance to play my Tomb Kings, and I do have like a huge Tomb King army, and it's neat to have a reason to put them on the table. But anyways, the Wood Elves and the High Elves are coming back. Some additional High Elf expansion and the Wood Elf stuff is all coming. So if you love very old, somewhat goofy-looking models, you're in. You're ready to go. Somebody call Scott Miniac. He's going to be so stoked that all these Wood Elves are available again. So there you go. It's the whole day for him. This is his whole year right here. I can't imagine how long it would take him to actually paint a Wood Elf force again. Years. And then finally, I've got a little quick note here because this was sort of separate, Gareth. I put this one aside. And we got a little battle tactics news, okay? And we got a sample battle tactics card. This is card number 5, Scouting Force. And basically they gave us some information on how the battle tactics worked. So I thought before we got into the Soggy review, we would talk just a little bit about this battle tactic thing and what we thought of it. So, obviously you've got 3 different levels: an affray, a strike, and a domination. You can't complete more than 1 per round. You're trying to complete as many as possible. You get 2 cards. They said that. And you pick them before the game as part of your list. And, over the course of the game, you're trying to do as many as possible, basically. Right? So, what do you think of, what they shared and the battle tactics and this potential new system? Are you interested? Are you excited? Are you cautiously optimistic? Where are you at right now? Understanding we haven't seen the whole thing.
I think all 3 of what you just said, I am interested. I think a shake-up to the battle tactics system was needed, and I'm excited about it. Having seen just this one card, I'm not going to say that it's a fantastic system because we don't know. We don't know how many cards there are. We don't know how much they change. This particular one seems to me very much based on a style of list, infantry or cavalry only. If they're all like that, then that kind of makes list writing more restrictive and a little bit boring. And, some armies, like, good luck if you're a Sun's army doing this one.
Right.
So cautiously optimistic, but we'll have to wait and see, I think.
Yeah,
exactly. I think the bigger thing for me was, wow, that's a huge change for a GHB. We've never seen anything like this in a GHB before.
Yep.
And, on the release of 4th, they were very clear that, everything's modular, everything can change, everything's just a module and we can swap modules in and out. And most of us thought, sure, but you won't. But no, they're going to.
They will. Yeah,
this is a big change.
Yeah. I have to say I'm in exactly the same place you are. By the way, Age of Sigmar, it'd be 30 points because you got 2 cards. You've got 5 points per thing. So you can do 1 on each of your cards per round. So 30 points, basically. But again, like, I actually expect that to be pretty hard. You'd really have to be dancing, I suspect. I agree with you. My main concern is exactly what you highlighted with the, like, non-hero infantry, non-hero cavalry units. Like, okay, but what if I don't even have 3 of those in my army, right? Like, which is entirely possible, right?
And you can't score it if they're in combat, which is nice from your opponent's point of view, because countercharge is going to be a thing. But if you've got 3 units of Vanguard and that's your list, and your 3 units of Vanguard are spending the whole game not in combat,
right?
Great.
Yeah, it's like very much like that is really restrictive. Now, at the same time, if you're playing like a sort of dancey, lots of little, MSU type army, maybe this is pretty good for you. Maybe, right? Depending on how mobile, I guess, your army is, right? So,
and I suppose if it encourages more MSU, then that's a good thing,
right? That I would be fully supportive of. Yes.
Yeah, more than the standard 2-drop lists, etc. Great.
Right. Anything that gets us out of reinforced cavalry nightmare being the de facto choice for your army seems good to me. So I think as always, there's going to be a lot of secondary and tertiary consequences with this stuff, right? Like, that's just the reality we have to accept. Like, the current season, I guess. But whatever, you know what I mean? The last GHB's battle tactics, like, really just defined and shaped how lists were built completely for a while. They shut off certain lists and just that was what it was because you had to score those points. With this one, I'm very interested to see once we have the full set, like, what do we think it's going to actually do with list building? I don't know. So we'll see. Okay. Sporadicus says, I assume there's going to be cards that just don't vibe with certain factions. Like, this would work with Sylvanus nicely, but not Suns. Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Like, I mean, Suns, this is a nothing. You have 5 cards or whatever, if I assume there's 6 total. So you just have 1 less. This is not, you can just turn that one upside down and be like, well, never picking that one. So, there you go. All right, cool. That's basically the news. That's our news stuff. A couple other small items. Hey, I want to thank everybody who backed the Art of Kickstarter that I'm a part of for this newest edition. It wrapped up today. If you missed it, don't worry. There is still a chance to get on like the late pledge manager and stuff like that, or late pledges. There's some kind of thing you can do with that. But thank you to everybody who backed. I really do appreciate it. It was like the second biggest one in his history of doing all of them. I am very excited. I've been working on the book heavily, so we're gonna deliver you a real unique experience there, I hope. So thank you to everybody for that. And other slight news is we are now about a week away, little more than just slightly a little more than a week away before we're going to start spoiling information on Uncle Adam and I's next book we're releasing, which is coming out at the end of this month. About 2 weeks away from the actual release, about a little more than a week away from when we start spoiling. So stay tuned. If you're not already following on like Twitter and Blue Sky and Instagram and all of that, give that a follow so you can see when the new game comes out. I actually have the book. It's sitting somewhere near me right now. I'm not going to show you what it is, but it's there, and very excited to bring it to you. So okay, cool. With that, let's turn to a little pick of the week. Gareth, what do you want to share with everybody? What do you got for the audience as far as your pick of the week goes?
Just one, the Hobby collab. I know they've been picked a few times recently. I think it was Tyler who shouted out their Adepticon interview video, which I'm just going to go back and say that was hilarious. That had me actually, people who know me know that I'm not a laughing person. That one actually had me laughing multiple times. But they've also been doing a daily rundown on all of the Soggy Rules, which is pretty good. I really like their channel there.
Very nice. Very nice. I will put that in the description. For mine, as well, because I know, look, people are hungry for the Soggy, okay? And if you are, our good buddy Haywo, he's been doing some streams, of course, and as well. So he as well has been sort of reviewing them every day, doing a stream a day, checking out the new rules as they happen. So, go give that a look. Haywo, you can hear his opinion as well as his chat discuss it, and also probably watch him play EverQuest or something, whatever's going on in the rest of his stream. Okay. Cool. Easy enough. Then with that, we're just racing through this because we're all excited to get to the Soggy. Let's talk about a little hobby time. Gareth, you've been doing any hobby? You've been working on anything? Anything got you excited on your desk?
Yeah, I've been working on a slaves army for the last 6 months. Not really a slave. It's a slave by rule, but they're all. It's called Gitz of Darkness. So they're all converted goblins, stroke Gitz, stroke Noblars in Chaos Warrior armor. I've got the obligatory Vanguard done, the Knights done, some Chaos Warriors all chosen done, and I started working on Archaon. All I've done so far is his base.
Oh, wow. Okay, sure. The old school tower. There you go. Love it. Yes, putting Archaon on top of buildings is exactly.
Yeah.
Fully support this. I know you can see mine's like one of them's like right there, and that's on top of a building as well. That's my Slaanesh Archaon, and then right there is the Tzeentch Archaon. So fully supportive of this. That rules. Yes, you got to look. If you ever play, it was especially important back when lots of people ran Archaon because you had to have the tallest one, right? If you lined up at a game against somebody and their Archaon was shorter than yours, that means they're inferior. They're the imposter. That's how you know. The tallest Archaon is the real one. So that's just obvious right there. For me, my hobby time has been working on this little guy. This is this wonderful little dwarf from Spiramir Balis. I don't know how to say it. I don't know how words work. But anyways, on this guy, he's going to be a whole series of videos in the future on just like painting for competition. So very excited about this thing. It's such a characterful sculpt. It's so much fun. And this is only like the 4th dwarf I've ever painted in my entire life. I mean, I understand he's like big, but I'm counting all sizes of dwarves. It's just not a thing. It's not a thing for me. I've only done like 4 dwarves. So there you go. He joins an elite crew. So there you go. All right. As we transition over here to the Soggy Rules, I'm going to say, don't forget, you can hit like, you can subscribe, you can do all those things. Stay tuned. We're going to stay on top of the Soggy Rules every week. As well, of course, there's the super chat there. And, if you want to throw in a little bit, help get some new microphones. We've already got one upgrade. We're going for the hobby cheating upgrade next. Then that would be much appreciated. So thank you to everybody who supports and does all that stuff. Okay. With that, let's get over to them Soggy Rules, shall we? Boy, Gareth, we have a healthy amount. We got 7 full days. There we go. Sorry, everyone. We got I agree with this random super chatter Gareth who said this is the best guest ever. No doubt about that. No doubt about that. All right. So we're going to do this in chronological order. So we're going to start from last week where they, like right after the show last week, because last week we did Skaven and Stormcast. So this week we're going to start with Flesh Eater Courts, then we're going to go in order. They were nice enough to number these in the PDFs. So that makes it very easy, even though the rest of the PDF is just gobbledygook nonsense. It's just letters and numbers. Okay, so Flesh Eater Courts. Let's start at the beginning. Gareth, do you like the Flesh? What do you think of Flesh Eater Courts right now? How do you feel about the army? Let's level set first. You ever play this army? Do you like this army? How do you feel about it?
Never played with it. I basically don't know much about the death factions in general. In fact, I don't know much about death or destruction, which seems to be all that we're going to be talking about. So not the best guess for this one, but
you're all right.
I have played against Feck a few times before the Morbeg Knight nerf. Did not enjoy the experience. Where they are after the Morbeg Knight nerf seem to be, pull them back a little bit, but you're still seeing a lot of knights on the table. And then, Gavin took an all ghoul list to Worlds and, is a world champion with that list. So they're pretty strong right now. Going into the Soggy release, I was hoping that they didn't get more rules that made them even more overpowered. And I think it's fair to say they didn't.
I think that's right. I think this one is sort of fine, is what I would say.
Yeah.
And good. I mean, I agree. I played like 2 games a couple weeks back against Flesh Eaters. It was like a mix of ghouls and knights, basically. So like a little from column A, a little from column B. And yeah, it's strong. It's strong. It went basically like 1-1. Grit asked Vince, are you teaching at Gen Con this year? Well, what a great question, Grit. I should be. I have submitted my classes. I got a note back from them that like, oh yeah, we're reviewing them. Sorry, it's just taking time. So allegedly the classes are going to go up. Once I get the confirmation that they actually post my classes, I shared them. I uploaded them within the time period they told me I was supposed to, but I don't know. So I am trying to get my classes listed. So I apologize that it's taking so long. Okay. Let's talk about what FEC gets. We got 2 new battle formations, the Impassioned Serfs, which is declare, pick a friendly Serfs unit that did not charge this turn and is in combat to use this ability, then pick an enemy unit in combat with that Serfs to be the target. The target cannot make pile-in moves for the rest of the turn. Okay. Fine. Shutting off pile-ins can be situationally very strong. Once you tell your opponent this does cost a command point, by the way. Once you tell your opponent that this is a thing you can do, they will often adjust their play pattern to minimize the impact of this potentially. So, and because it's not on the charge, so I rate this one as like okay.
Yeah, I mean, no pile-ins was an awful rule in 3rd edition, and we all hated it. It is a lot less impactful in 4th edition with the 3-inch range.
Yep, exactly.
So, is this? Lords of the Manor is so strong and so popular. It's overwhelmingly the most taken formation for Feck. I don't think this is going to replace it much.
Agreed. And then you've got Questing Courtiers, which is just a passive one that friendly Flesh Eater Courts heroes have a ward of 5+ if they have destroyed a unit this battle. Again, my response is, okay, a lot of your Flesh Eater Courts heroes don't actually go kill units to go get their points. They sit around and pray and orate and spellcast and whatever, right? Oosh already has a 5+ ward on his own. Big Oosh, he's often the one that kills. The new Gore Warden we're about to look at might get in some fights, so I guess occasionally that, but it's still just a ward bump of 1. So it's kind of like, yeah, it's fine.
I don't expect to see Lords of the Manor knocked off its perch anytime soon.
Agreed.
By these 2.
Then, interestingly, boom, monstrous traits out of nowhere. This is the kind of thing I wanted to see in the Soggy rules, right? Is like, because the underloved part of FEC is their monster stuff. And so doing monster traits, adding a new enhancement type, great. Yes, please, more of that, right? Like this is the kind of thing, especially with strong armies, I want to see where we have underloved units. So at any rate, we got 3 monstrous traits. First is just Revered Monstrosity. Effect, add 1 to passive. Add 1 to hit rolls for combat attacks made with companion weapons. by other friendly non-unique Flesh Eater Quartz monsters while they're wholly within 12 of this unit. So, okay, one monster is the leader and doesn't get the bonus, but the other ones do. If you want that full Monster Mash experience, as was very popular for a while, this was like actually an FEC thing. This lets you do that and get around that awful 4-up to hit for at least a good chunk of your monsters. Then you've got Savage Abomination. Add 1 to the attacks characteristic of this unit's companion melee weapons. Okay, it's fine. I mean, it's 1 more bite at the mortal damage jowls, and you know the claws are fine too. And then Horribly Resilient, which effectively turns your model into an actual like vampire because it gets to heal D3 at the end of turn and 2d3 if it killed a unit. Or sorry, if this unit is not a hero, it heals 2d3. I apologize. So if you're not a hero, you heal more. Yeah. So it's not like the fight ability like vampires. But yeah, it's effectively just a good self-heal. It's not bad. I mean, 2d3 at the end of turns, not a bad amount of healing. It's at the end of both turns. So it means you got to go like actually smash the monster and kill it in one go, which isn't that big of an ask in the current edition, especially not with like 4 and 5-up save monsters with a 6-up ward and, you know, 14 health. But hey, okay.
The thing I like about these is that you can either decide you're just going to have 1 monster in your army and take one of either Savage or the healing, or you can go full on Monster Mash, in which case you do get an actual bonus.
Agreed. Absolutely. I think this is a nice thing. This is exactly what we should see in the Soggy Rules for people who've got that one, you know, zombie dragon or whatever they want to put on the table. Great. Here you go. You got your toy. You can play with your toy now. Yep. That's nice. Okay. Then we got our 2 new War Scrolls. So we've got the Abhorrent Ghoul King, new War Scroll. He is 120 points. And what's unique about this guy is that his regiment option is not 0 to 1 nobles. It's any. Just go nuts. So he can just get a bunch of other nobles, other Ghoul Kings in his regiment and kind of have a good time, which is fun. So he's got, you know, attack-wise, it's not like whatever. He's fine. It's fine. He has the old, like, Stormcast profile, right? The very classic 3rd edition Stormcast profile. He's got 2 passive abilities. The King's Court, add 1 to the attacks characteristic of melee weapons used by other friendly, non-monster Flesh Eater Quartz heroes while they're wholly within 12 inches of this unit. In addition, add 1 to the attacks characteristic of this unit's melee weapons for each other friendly, non-monster Flesh Eater Quartz hero wholly within 12 inches of this unit to a maximum +3. So he bubbles out a big +1 and then gets a reflection back of up to +3. The only thing I'm angry about here is they capped at +3. It should have been capped at +6.
Sure.
Okay. Like, if we're going to be silly, if you're going to take this dude's a 5-up, 6-up, right? Like, come on. What are we scared of? Right? This dude dies if he's a 5 health model. 5. If something looks at this thing funny, he dies. Right?
Yeah.
I see literal no issue with this guy coming roaring in with like 11 attacks and just and then dying. It's amazing. Him and his little pack of Ghoul Kings or whatever. What a fun build. What a fun, goofy build. And then he has Long Live the King. If this unit would be destroyed before removing it from play, friendly, non-unique Flesh Eater Quartz units wholly within 12 inches of this unit become enraged until the start of your next turn. Melee weapons used by friendly enraged units have crit, auto wound, and score critical hits on an unmodified roll of 5-up, which is also fun. He charges in, he goes wild, he dies. All the other Ghoul Lords or Ghoul Kings are like, oh my god, get them! And just goes crazy. Like, what a fun play pattern. Like, that's silly, but that's such a Timmy thing, right? Like, just let Timmy go wild. So, yeah, that's great. Is it competitive? No. Is it going to be very fun? Yes.
They clearly built this with just, you are going to take 6 or 5 of them. You know, there's no point to taking 1.
Right.
They can all go in the same regiment. They all buff each other. And when one of them dies, the other ones all get buffs. Have fun.
Absolutely. I agree. Okay. So very fun little guy. Seems like a cool build. We haven't had that sort of like little pack of heroes roaming around as a thing for a while, and I always liked that. Like a bunch of the sort of gore chosen thing, right? Of like just having a bunch of, they're not crazy heroes, just a bunch of foot assassins roaming around in a little pack. All right.
Yeah.
Then we got this guy, the Abhorrent Gore Warden, who I do really like. I think this new build on him is actually really good. Now, the old Gore Warden wasn't bad. Don't get me wrong. I think he was okay. I think he had some play. But this dude is pretty hot. So once again, we have the classic Stormcast profile. He does have 7 health and a 5-up save as opposed to the 5 health. So just so much tougher. That extra 2 health. Crazy tough. At any rate, he's got a passive ability that says, while this unit is within combat range of a friendly knight's unit, and has charged this turn, it has a ward of 5-up, and its gory talons and fangs have charge +1 damage. So effectively, it lets him go second with less fear because his ward goes up a point, and when he does swing, he swings real hard, right? So, cool. Maybe damage 3 is nothing to scoff at. That's a pretty good attack coming out of this little guy. And the Gore Warden himself, he has a once per turn army, end of enemy turn ability. That's pretty hot. Effect, remove this unit from the battlefield, then set it up again more than 9 inches from all enemy units, and either wholly within 6 inches of the edge of the battlefield or 3 inches of an objective you do not control. That is quite good. It's quite good.
Yeah.
This guy's 140 points, and I think he's pretty worth it. Let me just say that.
It's the Dreadblade Harrows from Nighthaunt at the start of the edition, where Nighthaunt were extremely strong, and they would just had those annoying things that would just teleport every turn.
Yep, exactly.
This is going to cause massive headaches. Like, particularly again, it's the small number of units that we've seen so far in 4th meant that you are often leaving your home objectives undefended. Not if you're playing against this guy, you're not.
That's right. It is crazy the play pattern change you push on your opponent, or the decisions you're forcing your opponent to make just by taking this 140 point unit and like keeping him relatively in the backboard where he's safe. Because all of a sudden, exactly, they have to either like massively change the way they were going to string their army out or push into your territory or whatever. They cannot leave a home objective or any objective unguarded because you'll just instantly take it for free automatically, right? Unless they're literally on top of it, or 9 inches covering, you know what I'm saying? And it's just so strong. It's a crazy strong ability. For me, this is the definition of power perceived as power achieved, because even if they do guard all of their home objectives completely and never give you a chance to use this to steal an objective from them, you have made them alter their entire play pattern, right?
I mean, a game in which you never use that ability is probably a victory.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
The fact that you haven't used it meant that they've played very defensively to stop you from using it.
Right. Exactly. And which is just so cool, because I mean, what you'll see good players do is like guard him while they can, then pull units away and let him take it because you're going to pay him off by taking away their objectives. Like you'll see players just make logical trades where they're like, I'll sacrifice you. Sure, you can take my home one, but I'm going to get these 2 from you or something like that. You'll see those people. But this dude will just strike the fear into the hearts of a lot of players who will then change the way they play.
Yeah.
Okay.
In the current season with attack on 2 fronts where you have to take an objective that your opponent, you might go, you take my back objective because it's very easy for me to then take it back from you and get a tactic out of it. But exactly what it will be in the future.
Yep. Yeah, we don't is there tactics that say like, oh, take back an objective from in your home territory that your opponent controls or something like that? Like if so, then okay, maybe you'll automatically sacrifice it and just be like, yeah, come on in. Haha, I fooled you. It was a double cross the whole time, that kind of thing. But we'll see. Overall, FEC one's fine. Glad to see the monstrous traits. That was the biggest story out of here. Glad we got some new options. I agree. Doesn't think it really changes the power of the army in any big way. Okay,
it's a side grade, which is what it needed. We didn't want to see Fleshy Dacourts get any sort of buffs.
Agree. And in the end, I am very happy with side grades, especially for already established armies, because I just believe that more options to allow people who aren't playing like what we would think of as like, the strong meta lists, more stuff to just let them have fun at home. That's a successful expansion to me. That's what we want these rules to do. Okay. Next up, Gloomspite Gitz. Them Gitz. So again, let me ask the question. What do you think about Gitz? I play this army. I never play this army. This is the one destruction faction I don't own and have no interest in owning. And I only get to play against it like once every couple months at most. How are you on this army?
Well, Gitz are in a pretty rough spot, right? They've been in a rough spot for quite a while. Basically, only Trog builds have been doing anything at all. I think they're at a 43% win rate, right near the bottom, only beating out Kruleboyz, I think. So, yeah, they're in a tough position, particularly Gitz themselves, goblins. They had the new army, effectively, all of the Wolf Riders, which were just useless.
Yep. It's a good summation.
Yeah, some really nice models. So nice that I've got a whole slaves army built from them. But, they're just not doing anything. So you would hope that compared to Feck, where Feck got a side grade, you would hope that Soggy actually gives Gitz some meaningful buffs and hopefully not just to trolls.
Right. Agreed. All right, well, let's see what we actually got. So we got the Sunbiter pack. Once per turn army, any combat phase. You get to pick up to 3 friendly Git mob units. So that's our new expansion, folks. And add 1 to the rend characteristic of companion weapons used by the targets for the rest of the turn. So your wolves and stuff like that all get +1 to rend. Okay, it's fine.
Yeah,
it's not bad.
Fine.
I mean, this was, I think, the most needed thing, I will say, because that army hit like a feather. Like the Git mob thing, if they ran into anybody who had an average save of 4 or higher, was just like, well, guess we don't do any damage this game.
Mm-hmm.
Their rend was just pitiful. I don't think 1 rend on 3 units is necessarily making them suddenly catapult up, but it was absolutely the thing they needed to at least play the game. So that's nice. And then Gittish Tide, once per turn army, end of any turn. Declare, pick a friendly non-squig Moon Clan unit that is contesting an objective to be the target. Effect, add 1 to the control score of the target unit for each model in that unit that is not contesting any objectives. This is such a weird ability. But like,
I love it.
Yeah, it's a very interesting rule space, right? So talk about how you what's happening here. What actually is happening here, right?
So you get you've got a unit of 40 stabbers.
Yes.
And you put 1 of them on the objective.
Yes.
And in any other system, that would mean that you've got a control score of 2 because you've probably got a banner.
Sure.
So 1 + 1 is 2. If you've got this formation, you're suddenly at 41.
Right.
Because all of the guys who are not on the objective suddenly count as being on it, plus the banner.
Yes.
Which is pretty crazy, because ignoring the fun that you can have with it tactically, just meaning that you don't have to spend 10 minutes making sure that every single one of your damn bases fits on the objective is great. But tactically, you can do all kinds of crazy stuff as well. You can string out your unit onto maybe 3 objectives if they're close by, and then you just have to say which of the objectives you want to contest at the end of the turn. But you don't have to say that until they're on there.
Right.
You can do some really cool stuff with this. Or, again, we don't know what we do know what the battle tactic card that we saw was, control objectives in opponent's territory.
Right.
Well, suddenly that's a lot easier if all you have to do is have 1 model on there and it counts as 41. That's pretty cool.
Absolutely agreed. I think this is actually really good for the Moon Clan folks. This is really strong for the same kind of reason we talked about the Gore Warden stuff, right? Because again, it just changes play patterns. You have to now you have to guard potential objectives, but you got to ring around them, make sure they can't even toe on in any way. Mm-hmm. Because the second one little stabba gets 1 little edge of a base on the edge of that little mat, just well, we got on there, 41 control. It's just whoa, right?
Yeah.
This vastly changes the math in the ancient Sons of Behemoth versus Goblins showdown. Because people like that, models like that, you can't block them completely out because you just got 1 big model, so they can always toe on to some way, and suddenly they're counting as much more. So that kind of thing's very funny.
It's also clear that like these two formations, if we look at the current usage, I think we've got Trog Herd at about 52%, Squiggle at about 48%, and then or 44%. But the Moon Clan type formation that currently exists is at about a 4% usage rate, and the Git Mob pack is at about a 2% usage rate.
Yeah.
So they're just not being taken.
Yep.
These two formations are clearly just slide-in replacements for the ones that are underperforming. So great.
Absolutely agreed. Like, this is what I want to see these things do, is like figure out what isn't being taken, figure out what isn't being used, give us cool new fun rules for them. That's the other thing. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Nick Garcia, thank you for the super chat. We need a Bloodletter Gareth for the thumbnail. That's a good idea. Absolutely. I think you should be like a Blood Crusher. We can put you on a Juggernaut. That's fine. We can make you accidentally, famously, the worst unit in the history of Warhammer, repeatedly, edition after edition. The worst unit in the Khorne army. How about that?
Sure.
But has that changed? I don't know. We've got new Blood Crushers. Maybe it's changed. Stay tuned, folks, and find out. So we got a new spell lore. The lore of Frazzlegit. They all cast on a 6. Your unlimited spell is you get to pick 3 friendly visible Gloomspite Gitz units, wholly within 12, and make a casting roll. Each target immediately can use a retreat ability. As if it was your movement phase, no mortal damage is inflicted by that retreat ability. This is very short range at 12 inches, but crazy strong. Retreating in your hero phase. Crazy strong.
Or in your opponent's hero phase.
Absolutely. Yes, indeed. Yes, casting this off turn, it gets even more wild. 100%. This is like one of the stronger unlimited spells, I think, probably around.
Yeah.
Such a strong ability. I don't know what more to say about it. Like the shenanigans it enables, right? So, yeah,
and
really
it's
good.
Not race restricted. You can cast this on a unit of trolls. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah, it's just any
Gitz.
friendly visible Gloomspite Gitz unit. Yes.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah. That alone is probably going to make some people play around with this spell lore. Let me say that. Like this spell alone, I think you'll see people take this because this is crazy good.
I think the existing spell lore was kind of
Yeah. It was all moon manipulation garbage. It was dumb.
You just don't care. So
right.
Yeah, I expect we'll see this spell lore dominate.
I agree. Then you got Git Speed, which is Git Speed is going to fall into a category of rules that I call oops. That honor guard rule that gave everybody plus 2 inches was the thing everybody took within a whole wide swath of armies that have no actual speed and can't walk around the board at 4 or 5 inches because walking around the board at 4 or 5 inches is death in the current edition. So, and 2 inches made all the difference. So now let's just shove that into everybody's army in some way. Okay.
Well, actually, I mean, if you think about the current seasonal rules of Honor Guard, you've got what are the most popular ones? You've got Field Sergeant, which is plus 2 inch move if you're within range of a hero.
Yes.
You have Prio Target, or sorry, not Prio Target, the plus 1 Rend one. Choose a type of opponent and get
the chargey plus 1 Rend thing. Yeah.
And Bodyguard.
Sure.
Right? And then Prize Beast a little bit as well. And so I think throughout the whole of the Soggy Rules, you see a lot of replacements. There's a lot of plus 1 Rend abilities, and there's a lot of plus 2 move abilities.
Yes, as well as plus 1 to hit for monsters, right? Because that was that's what you're getting out of Prize Beast. You're right. Yeah. There's a lot of like taking what were honor guard stuff and just like shoving them into discrete abilities. The 2 inch one just caught me because I was always a Field Sergeant man. Like running Skaven, Field Sergeant is so meaningful to an army that has no cavalry. I mean, yes, I understand there's that dork on the rat that came in the last box set, but like, stop it. It's a non-cavalry army, right? Your army basically moved 6 inches. So, being able to move 8 was like such a massive difference. Okay. Anyways, 6 inches, you pick a unit. Until the start of your next turn, add 2 inches to move characteristic of friendly non-Troggoth Gitz units while they're wholly within 12. Like, it literally makes you into Field Sergeant. Cast the spell, become a Field Sergeant. Mm-hmm. That's it. And then Gaze the Glareface is your enemy targeting one. Good.
It isn't infantry only, though. Those wolves are suddenly going 2 inches more.
That's true. Yeah, it's just non-Trog. Yeah. So you can hit those too. That's a good point. It's a good point. Bat Pocket said +2 move Kragnos. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, sure.
True. He's not a troll. Okay, and then finally the Gaze of Glareface. Pick a visible enemy unit within 18 inches to be the target, then make a casting roll 2d6. Until the start of your next turn, the target, your enemy unit, cannot use run abilities and have the range characteristic of the target's ranged weapons. Not a bad spell in a 6. It's got an 18-inch range, which is the only reason I like it. If it was 12, I would say it was total garbage. At 18, there's going to be some uses for it. It's like a nice arrow in your quiver. It's the boxing glove arrow. You're not getting it out all the time, but it's fine when you need it. It could do some stuff. So
yeah, I again, you know, you're coming against KO or you're coming against Sentinels or something. Yeah, this could become really powerful. You go up against slaves and you're like, yeah, I'm never casting this spell.
Right.
But you know, but the halving the range of range weapons is really strong. And yeah, there are lots of armies that have run and charge, you know, army wide in some cases, or yeah, very easily accessible. So stopping them from being able to run, it's great.
Yep, agreed. I like silver bullets in the third slot of a spell lore. Yeah. I think that's generally a good build. All right, so we got two new scrolls here, all fanatic based improvements. Mm-hmm. The most recent Gitz game I played, where my opponent was playing Gitz, and I built him a little list because it had been a while for him. Like, he hadn't played the game for several months. So he said, "Build me a Gitz list," so I did, and he always loved fanatics. It's like a classic thing. He's played since like the 90s. So I put in some Loon Smasher fanatics, and then he read how they worked, and he was like, "This makes me very sad. I don't like how these work." And then literally they came out with this, and this is how he wants them to work. This is basically making them work how they used to work. Like, that's all this is. The whole Loon Smasher fanatics thing is just, they do what you think they do now. In the charge phase, in any charge phase, if you deployed them into a unit, quote unquote, like put them in reserve, then they can pop out within 3 inches of a friendly Moon Clan stab as a shoot his unit, then immediately move 2d6 inches, passing through enemy models in their combat ranges. It can end that move in combat, then roll a dice for each enemy unit in combat with this unit, or that this unit passed across as part of that move, and you inflict an amount of mortal damage on that unit equal to the roll. No 2-up, not a d3, not a Garbo d3 roll. It's just straight up d6 mortal damage, and then they all fight. Great. They don't have strike first anymore, but they do the fun thing.
Well, they do the fun thing, other than the way that abilities work in 4th edition means that in your opponent's charge phase, they don't come out before they charge.
This is true.
So your opponent, you can't use them to block a charge, which is what the real fun thing with them was.
That was the real fun thing. You're correct. That's right. Although you can pop them out on the side still and then send them careening through the enemy. That does still work.
Yes. Yeah. But and they've also very carefully keyworded this as core, move, and charge. So they can't pop out and then charge.
Right. Exactly. Yep.
But yeah, it's a really cool.
Yeah. On your turn, you can like move the unit up, get them out in front, shoot them forward into the enemy, do some fun stuff. On the enemy turn, if the enemy hilariously fails a charge, boy, is that a wonderful scenario, right? If they're like 6 inches away and they fail the charge, and you're like, oh boy, ready to go there. But yes, if they come in and hit you, you pop them out the side and they go boop boop and do some mortal damage to the unit, and they're another unit in combat, and that's fun. So, yep.
It's a bit of a shame that it's once per turn army as well. You could, if you had 3 units and they all came out at the same time, all doing d6, that would be hilarious.
You're right. That would be way better. Ugh, I didn't even think about the once per turn limitation. All right, little sad there, but still fun that this works. Gray Boy, thank you for the super chat. Loon Smashes are so back. All right, somebody's excited about the new rules. Very good. Then we got by the way, those guys are 110 points for 5. The Spore Splatter Fanatics. They've got their little Spore Ball and Chain, which has like 1 less attack and the inverted hit and wound profile for reasons, and 1 less rend. Like, it's just less damage. But what they do is they have a passive that says subtract 1 from the attacks characteristic of weapons used by enemy units while they're in combat with this unit. Very strong ability. I mean, these guys die like very easily. They're, 5 health on a 6-up save. But still, that penalty is a very strong penalty. And then once per turn, army, end of any turn, this unit can move 2d6 inches. It can move through the combat ranges of enemy units and can finish that move in combat. That is a very strong end of turn ability. Just being able to shoot off 2d6 inches at the end of turn, threaten an objective, tying up a unit that your opponent was obviously gonna charge with next round, or whatever. Like there's a million uses for end of turn movement that can end in combat. It's like supercharged end of turn murder lust, right?
Yeah, exactly. Your immediate thought is, okay, I'm going the top of the round. I know my opponent's going next. Oh, they've got a huge unit of shooters. I'm just going to move these guys to 3 inches away or 3.1 inches away. And then at the end of the turn, so they don't have to survive combat,
right?
They can just tie up that shooting unit and they can't shoot.
Yep.
In their turn. Great. Now, again, they're not survivable. 6-up save, 1 wound each. They may get removed in the hero phase, whatever. But I mean, how many points are they?
70 points. 7-0.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Bargain. I mean, probably the cheapest unit in the whole game. Chaos Spawn in Tzeentch is 50, I think. But yeah, up there. Like why wouldn't you take this?
Absolutely. These guys are so going to show up in lists. That utility on a 70-point unit is crazy, right? They can play so many roles, right? And that's just, and like they're
again, it's the
tactically
threat.
rich. Yep. Exactly.
You have to play around that threat.
Yep.
Now, if they had the Lost in the Horde ability as well, then we'd be talking.
Oh boy, yeah. Now we'd be cooking. They wouldn't be 70 points though. That is for sure. I mean, I'd be the Moon Clan players would be very happy if they were 70 points and had that. Yes. But yeah, exactly. Very, very, very good unit. Great, like a great set of abilities on a wonderful throwaway chaff unit. This is the kind of stuff that chaff needs to actually have to be chaff in the game to be valuable.
Yeah.
Okay. Next up. So next up is Nighthaunt, and this gives us a little two-parter. So we're just going to very quickly cover the Nexus thing. We already knew that the Nighthaunt was going to get these buildings because, duh, right? Because Soulblight got the little buildings, so now Nighthaunt has their little buildings. So here we go. Sepulchral, hate this word. Sepulchral apparitions. Effect, if there is this is once per battle army deployment phase. If there's a friendly Nexus of Grief on the battlefield, you can set up 2 additional Nexus of Grief on the battlefield. Each must be set up wholly outside of enemy territory, more than 3 inches from all objectives and other terrain features, and more than 12 inches from all other friendly Nexus of Grief. So the difference here between this one and the Soulblight one is that they all have to be set up in in either your territory or the neutral zone, right? As opposed to Soulblight, who can stick one in the kind of anywhere. But you still get 3 of them. That's cool. Okay, great. What do they do? Here's the Nexus. It's an 8 health. Oh, good.
Before we move on, just shout out to whoever decided to add that designer's note, just clarifying how deployment abilities work.
Oh, yes.
Great, because that was always going to be confusing and people were not going to understand that. So well done, whoever thought of adding the designer's note.
Yes, agreed completely. I honestly, Gareth, I wish they used designer notes more. I really do stand those kind of like designer notes where they just put it in plain English, right? Yep. Like, look, here's how it works, plain English. This isn't rules text. We're just talking to you straight, like your friend would, right? Because that's how your friend would say it, right? If you asked them, hey, how's this work? They'd be like, look, you put 1 at the beginning, the first step of the thing, and then you do the 2 afterward. You'd be like, oh, okay, cool. Yep. Right, so, all right. The Nexus of Grief, 8 health, 5-up save, 5-up ward. Very high ward save for a pile of rocks. So, okay.
It's a ghostly pile of rocks.
It is. Absolutely. It's haunted. Once per turn, army, your movement phase effect. Remove this terrain feature from the battlefield and set it up again on the battlefield within 3 inches of a friendly Nighthaunt unit, more than 3 inches from all objectives and enemy units, and more than 12 inches from all other friendly Nexuses of Grief. So it teleports around the board. The little buildings teleport.
Absolutely wild.
Yes. This is crazy. It's only in your movement phase, but still, it's just crazy that that's what this does.
And they released this shortly after showing us the battle tactic, which was you must contest a terrain feature in your opponent's territory.
Right. Right.
I'm just going to teleport my terrain into your territory where my unit already is. Great.
Absolutely. You're going to pull, you now have access to the same trick Skaven I've been doing forever, which is like, I'm going to open up a null hole here and we'll go ahead and contest that. And now I've taken your land. Congratulations or whatever, that kind of thing.
But it's even more powerful because it's in your movement phase, not at the start of the round.
That's right. Absolutely true. Then it has the Scream of the Penitent. Enemy units cannot use commands while they're within 3 inches of this terrain feature. I mean, crazy. You can't obviously reset it up into that range having any effect on the enemy, but you can make it so they can't pile a direction or they'll walk into that ability, which is very strong because then you effectively sort of shut them off from certain mobility or movement in combat without penalty. And then once per turn, army, end of any turn, awful refashioning. Declare, pick a friendly Nexus of Grief, then pick up to 3 friendly Nighthaunt units wholly within 12 of it to be the targets. You cannot pick the same unit to be the target more than once. And then you do the undead heal thing, which is, D3 healing or D3 worth of model back, whatever.
Yep.
So, okay, cool. Yeah, it's a good terrain feature. I don't know what to say. Congratulations, Nighthaunt, on your new abilities, I guess. I don't know.
I wish it had been on a base. When the Orc Tower came out and they put that on a base, I was so happy because terrain needs to be on bases.
Yes.
Particularly this one, which does have finicky measuring rules. 3 inches from objectives, 3 inches from enemy units. But it doesn't actually have a base that you can measure from, which is annoying. It's my TO hat being on.
Nope.
But yeah.
I am completely with you on this. It's one of the most annoying things in the world. As someone who regularly measures 6 inches from a gnaw hole, it's like, and it has that shape, and whatever.
Yeah.
And then you've got the question of people measuring from the sticks and stuff like that. And it's just like, okay, just put it on a base. We measure from bases in this game. This isn't 40K. We don't drive around tanks. Put them on a base. All right, and then actual Nighthaunt. We'll start this off. Gareth's going to have to drop out here in a few minutes, by the way. He'll be back. So if he suddenly disappears, don't worry, everybody. Gareth, okay? But we'll start up here. All right. Nighthaunt. Battle formations. Hungry Nexus. Pick a friendly Nexus of Grief to be the target for the rest of the turn. The target has a move characteristic of 3 inches. It can immediately move up to 3 inches and can move into combat, but cannot end that move on a terrain feature or within 3 inches of an objective. I should state this is happening at the end of the enemy turn. What do you think about this?
This is pretty strong.
Okay.
Right? Because at the end of the enemy turn, you can... So let's think. You've moved your Nexus. You've teleported your Nexus.
Right.
So that it is close to an enemy unit. They've done something in their turn, and then at the end of the turn, you've moved it into combat with them, which means that during your turn, they cannot use commands.
That's true.
Be pretty strong.
Yeah. Okay. Do you think people would choose that specific ability over the existing subfactions? That's the question.
No.
I agree.
Let me just have a look. So Deathstalkers is currently got like 80% usage rate for Nighthaunt.
Yeah, because even restricted down, the retreat, run, charge is still really strong.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So
yeah, it's not gonna be taken instead.
Agreed. David Canty,
but I would certainly do it for fun. Sorry.
Oh no, you're good. You're good. I agree. It is a very fun one. I love the idea of this terrain feature not only teleporting around but walking around. It's just hilarious. David Canty, thank you for the super chat. I'm not sure if it was mentioned, Vince, but Nova Open used a clip of you on Facebook talking about the importance of painting judges being available to provide advice, feedback, and comments. A thing I very much believe in and will defend forever. I am glad they used that clip. I am very proud of that, and I stand behind that 100%. Contests where judges are not available to give feedback are the worst for it. Looking at you, Golden Demon. We're not going to mince words, okay? It's a worse contest because they don't do that. How do artists improve? All right, at any rate. Death Rust Geists. Death Rust? Okay, that's weird. Great, anyways. Blades of Eternal Rust. Declare, pick an enemy unit that is in combat with any friendly Nighthaunt units to be the target. This is in the enemy hero phase. This triggers. Subtract 1 from save rolls for the target for the rest of the turn. This is a very strong ability. Like, anytime you're saying -1 to save rolls, it's at least pretty good, right?
Yeah. My only caveat to that would be the timing.
Sure.
This is enemy hero phase, so it has to be a unit that was in combat at the start of their turn, which is not necessarily when Nighthaunt want to be doing buffs and debuffs.
Sure. At the same time, they are kind of a grindy army. They're not like a charge in and blow somebody up in one go army. So a lot of times when they hit, they'll charge in, they'll apply their penalties, they do whatever they do. they do some heavy damage, but they usually don't lift, especially, you know, strongish, high health units. This is a nice thing to like keep the attrition going, so you're not just completely pillow fisted off turn. So
yeah. Again, I don't think it will replace Death Stalkers.
Agreed. Then you've got 3 new artifacts of power. You got the stav with the V. Okay. Of suffering. Now we're just making stuff up. What are we doing here? All right. The stav of suffering. The salve of suffering. While this unit's within 12 inches of any damaged enemy units or enemy units that have had any model slain, add 1 to casting rolls for friendly Nighthaunt units while they are wholly within 12 of this unit.
Yeah.
I hate managing multiple bubbles. I hate any ability that requires me to manage multiple bubbles, right? And so I've got to manage a bubble with an enemy and a bubble with my hero and my other heroes. Probably pass for me. The Tombstone of the Penitent. Add 1 to the attacks characteristic of this unit's melee weapons for each non-faction terrain feature that is being contested by friendly units to a maximum of 8. Now, that's how you write a maximum.
Well, sure, but I would like to have been in the pub when they were writing this rule with them, because this is just wild. Like, Nighthaunt heroes. Which Nighthaunt heroes are going into combat to begin with?
Sure.
Like, this will never get taken.
Disagree. I want to take this on a Lord Executioner who just goes ham. That dude is just swinging that massive axe, man. That dude's going to town. I'm going to get that Executioner trigger one way or another.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. But no, I agree. They're not like, they don't have the fighty heroes that this is going to go on. I agree. But still, kudos for at least they were like, well, the average board under our rules has 8 terrain features, so the obvious maximum is just write it to 8.
Yep.
And I support that. And then finally, the Amulet of Waking Nightmares. Pick a visible enemy hero within 18 inches of this unit to be the target. This is in your hero phase. Roll a die on a 3+ for the rest of the turn. The target cannot be affected by the guarded hero ability or the obscuring terrain ability. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, I just checked the numbers. Lightshard of the Harvest Moon currently has a 94.8% usage rate.
Yep.
I don't think this is going to change much.
I agree. None of these move the needle in my mind. Although, again, it does open up the fun side-grade Timmy build for the Wild Lord Executioner, and I support this. Anything that supports Timmy's silly lists, I'm here for. It's not a competitive choice. We're being very frank about that, but is it a fun choice? Yes. It's actually pretty easy to contest a lot of terrain. Like, terrain's just around. You tend to be, like, near it. It's not actually
Sure,
that hard.
Is, but I get, like, you just don't care for your Nighthaunt hero to go into combat.
Right. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. All right. I know you got to drop out. We'll see you in a few minutes. Okay. So, then we have 2 new, I love it. It just looks like Tom's chair is empty. It's fantastic. Okay. Then we have 2 new War Scrolls, a new Kurdos and a new Black Coach. Very excited about that. Okay. So, all right. The Black Coach is 280 points and Kurdos is 190. Okay. So let's start with Kurdos. The Craven King. So cool model. Let's just start at the beginning and say that Kurdos is such a cool model and he's so underused. Like, he's such a little hoss. Okay. So 7 health, 4 up save, blah, 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 6 up ward. All it's the same. He's got his scepter. It's got crit auto wound because that's what Nighthaunt do. 5/3/3/2/3. Okay. It's fine. So our soggy Kurdos here, what does he got? What's the new stuff? So he's got Inescapable Mockery. Add 1 to hit rolls and wound rolls for this unit's combat attacks that target an enemy unit that has a lower control characteristic than this unit. Now let's pay attention to some words here very carefully. Control characteristic. All right, fine. So against weaker stuff, he's control score 5, which is very impressive for just like a hero. He has an enhanced control score, which is cool. Normally, it's a model like him. He's not a monster or anything. Normally, a model like him would be 2 control, but he's 5. So against like enemy cav and stuff like that, he's on 2s and 2s. Very strong as a unique combat hero. And then he also has a Trader's Legacy, which is usable in any combat phase. If this unit's in combat, pick a visible, friendly Nighthaunt unit wholly within 12 inches of this unit to be the target. And then you get to pick one of the following little effects to apply for the rest of the turn. That, which by the way, he can pick himself, just to be clear, because it's just any visible, friendly Nighthaunt unit within 12 inches, not other. So he can pick himself for these bonuses, or some other unit. So, Regicide, and King Slaying. The target's melee weapons have anti-hero +1 rend. Okay. Neat. Usurpation and Larceny add 5 to the target's control score. Okay. And then Sedition and Betrayal. Enemy units cannot use commands while they are in combat with the target. There it is. That's the one. That's the one. Now, when I first read this, I was admittedly pretty excited because I thought, oh, neat. He could use a Trader's Legacy and target himself, put himself up to control 10, right? Because he could be control score 10. And then that would let him use his Inescapable Mockery more easily against other 5 control models. No, that is not correct. Because this changes his control score. The Inescapable Mockery tests off of the control characteristic, the thing written in the wheel here. So using this does not affect this. It's a little non-bow, which makes me very sad. I would like it a lot better if he just had a neat little combo on his thing. I don't know why we made that choice, which is unfortunate. But here we are. But he's fine. Like I said, he's 190 points. Do I think anyone's going to take him? Nah. I mean, the shutting off commands is cool. He's just not doing that much damage, even with that. Even with his, like, 2s and 2s. Although I like anybody who's on 2s and 2s. Then we have the new Black Coach. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. As I said, 280 points. This thing is hoss. Like, let's get into it. This thing rules. Okay, so 12 health, 4 up save, 6 up ward, control 5, blah, blah, blah. The Wraith Spectral Weapons are on 5/3/3s 2/2. Charge +1 damage and crit auto wound, because again, ghosts. And then the Black Coach's Iron Shod Wheels are crit auto wound and companion, 8 attacks, 4/3/2/2. Okay. First of all, those Iron Shod Wheels are hitting hard, 4/3/2/2. This thing's actually, like, pretty decent already just on the numbers. Okay. And then let's talk about abilities, because this is where this thing's really going to shine. Already I'm excited about this thing. I've always loved the Black Coach. Tom is right with me. I know he's always been a big Black Coach fan. He's used one many times for multiple editions. Okay. So, once per turn army, any hero phase, Spectral Attendants, effect, pick one of the following effects to apply for the rest of the turn. Noble Blade. This unit's melee weapons, including companion weapons, have crit mortal instead of crit auto wound. Okay. Pretty good. Unholy Grail. Pick a friendly Nighthaunt unit wholly within 12 of this unit. Again, you can pick yourself. Each time that unit uses the rally command, you receive 3 additional rally points. No point to picking yourself. Well, I guess you could, like, if you're just trying to self-heal, you can do it. And then the Tome of Undead Lore. This unit has Wizard 1. Wow. Like, that's 2 out of 3 real bangers. And, like, a third one that's fine. Like, whatever. Okay. The rally thing on other units is cool enough. Because it'll effectively make them rally on 10 dice. Because if you're targeting some other unit that has a musician or whatever. If you got little undead toot-toots in the unit, you're rallying on 10 dice. You know, it's pretty good restoration. On a lot of your units are just, 1 health things. So you're getting an average of 5 back. It's not bad. But again, the real money here is in Crit Mortal and or Wizard 1. Like, what a great... So already, banger. Okay, what's next? There's still 2 more abilities on this thing. So. Okay. Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. I said that wrong. You're right, Jonathan. It is 3 rally points. It's not 3 rally dice. So it's even better. Thank you. Thank you, Jonathan. You are correct. So yes, even that is pretty good. This thing is awesome. Okay. Thank you for that clarification. You're absolutely right, Jonathan. So like first ability, A+, banger. Let's keep going. Once per turn, army, any hero phase, 1 stop, no return. Declare, pick an objective you do not control to be the target. Okay, fine. Effect, like anywhere. For the rest of the turn, while enemy units are contesting the target objective, they cannot score critical hits while this unit is also contesting it. Hit rolls that would be critical hits score hits instead. That's really good. That's really good. Okay. Just shutting off. Like, crits are where a lot of units make their money in this edition. See previous discussion about Varangard, right? Or whatever. But they're far from the only ones. Being able to say all your crits all your crits are belong to us is really strong. So, you know, you can, like, the simplest usage here, you pick an objective you don't control, you're going to go in hard on. You target that objective. All their crits shut off. In your hero phase, you turn all your stuff to crit mortal. You go in, you wreck face. Great. Wonderful. And there's no range limit on that either. And you might think, yeah, but it moves 10 and charges 2d6. So, like, I'm not going to pick something super far away. Oh, but just wait. But wait, it gets worse because we have a third ability. The third ability, Spectral Carriage. Your charge phase. This is important. This one's only your charge phase, so it does not work on counter charge, which is a relevant restriction. For the rest of the phase, add 1 to the number of dice rolled when making charge rolls for this unit to a maximum of 3. So now this thing charges 3d6 all the time, effectively. Well, all of the time where all the time equals your charge phase. So pretty good. It's a huge base, as always. That's always the only problem with this thing. Where you're like, it's on like the 170 Imperial Knight base. It's so big, which just means it's sometimes hard to fit into more discrete spaces, right? But beyond that, that's the only limitation of this thing. This thing freaking rules. Just talking about the Black Coach. Gareth, welcome back.
Oh, amazing.
It's amazing. It's just like top to bottom. Everything about this is an absolute banger. And at 280 points, like this thing will get taken. It's just nothing else about it.
Yeah. And a fantastic model, so should be on the table.
Yep, exactly. Kurdos for me was a kind of a skip. He's okay. I'm sad with the non-bow of control score in the lower ability and control characteristic in the upper ability. So it doesn't actually, he can't actually buff himself, which makes me sad. But, you know, otherwise he's probably a skip, but the Black Coach more than makes up for it. So great stuff. We buffed a unit that we don't get to see enough on the table. Anything else you want to say on Nighthaunt before we leave it behind?
No, I mean, I guess we didn't say for Gitz what we think will happen to Gitz with it. I think Gitz probably gets improved a little bit, and Nighthaunt, I don't think this is enough because the formation and the artifact, the artifact doesn't get taken.
Right.
The Black Coach is definitely an improvement, but it's not going to move the needle. And Nighthaunt are currently doing pretty badly. So, since they got whacked since the 1st of 4th, I don't think this is going to boost them that much.
They're such a hard army to balance because they're either like so strong or just getting crushed. So it's rough.
Well, I mean, one thing we haven't spoken about yet is the change to all out attack, all out defense.
Yeah.
And Nighthaunt get a buff from that, certainly.
This is true. Absolutely true. They most certainly do. Welcome. Yeah, we'll talk about that one in a little while. But yes, congratulations, Nighthaunt, on your retaining of previous all-out attack. Yeah. Well done. All right. Next up, Cities of Sigmar. Okay. I realized I wasn't timestamping the individual ones, and I should be. Okay. Cities of Sigmar. What's your general feelings on cities? Where are you at on cities? They're in a rough spot, would be my read.
They're in a very rough spot. the only way that cities wins is by people not having a clue what they do and understanding what their rules are. They do have, I think, the most complicated rule set of any of the, certainly any of the indexes.
Right.
They're pretty difficult, and they've got all of these little 5-man units that do all kinds of crazy things and have buffs against certain things. So they're very difficult to pilot and very difficult to play against because you just don't understand what they do. But that's the only way that they win. They're not that strong. It's just a complete misunderstanding of rules that allows them to win games. That's my take.
Absolutely.
Having seen them win LVO, being at the final table, watching them from a bird's eye view, they did win LVO because Jeremy's a fantastic player, but they have such complicated rules that it's literally, I could see the opponents going, it does what,
Right, exactly.
So let's hope that the Soggy Rules are not complicated, huh?
We'll see. Here we go. All right. By the way, my Halazaker, my answer is you can't really go wrong with either one. I would probably pick the CR plus, but again, I don't think you're going to go wrong in either case. They're both great. Okay. All right. So we've got the veteran cannoneers. Look, long story short on this one, it's a formation if you love cannons. For you cannon enjoyers out there, for you Warhammer Fantasy Battle players who miss calling 10 inches from the rear, okay, congratulations, your new toy is here. You get to pick 3 Ironwell Great Cannons, and for the rest of the turn, each time that one of those 3 units uses a shoot ability, you can reroll 1 hit roll, 1 wound roll, or 1 random characteristic for the damage characteristic roll. So there you go. You're on 4s and 2s, Ren 2, D3 plus 2 damage with the cannons. So you're often re-rolling the hit, to be honest. But hey, sometimes you roll a 1 to wound 2, and that really sucks. So great. Okay. Do you like cannons? This is what you take if you like cannons. If you're that guy, congratulations.
I don't think this is an uncompetitive build either. I think if you take 3 or 4 cannons, you could actually start doing some serious damage. Now, we'll have to to see what happens with terrain, because today's very obscure references in Warcom said that terrain may impact shooting in some negative way, so we'll see. But in the current terrain rules and the current maps, I could absolutely see 3 or 4 cannons really hurting with this.
I think this is how good this is completely dependent on 2 things. One, you already mentioned it. What does new obscuring do? They talked about it being very, restrictive or blocking shooty and whatnot. And 2, how much do the battle tactics favor a kind of more castle-y build? Sure. Right? Because if the battle tactics really punish castles, if like all of them are like, I want you to go out and be mobile and going places and doing stuff, then that kind of castle-y build where you're just sitting there with cannons gets materially a lot worse. Right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
But they are pretty cheap.
This
you
is
can have a bunch of cannons and still have your cavaliers to do movement stuff.
That's true. All right. Fearless Exemplars. Once per turn, army, your hero phase. Already this has too much text, by the way. I look at this like I look at a magic card that's got like a wall of text, and I'm like, oh no. Here we go. Pick a friendly Cities of Sigmar human infantry hero to use this ability. Then you can pick up to 1 friendly non-hero human infantry unit and 1 friendly human war machine wholly within 12. While the targets are wholly within 12 of that hero, add 1 to the rend characteristic of the target infantry unit's melee weapons and the target war machine unit's ranged weapons until the start of your next turn. Okay. It's a lot of work for +1 rend.
Sure. And what I just said about let's hope that the city's rules are really simple and clear. Yeah, no.
Right.
Like,
and no. Already.
Yeah. What? I don't really see this one being taken much.
Yeah.
It's too difficult to get it all happening.
Agreed. And you're just throwing good money after bad right now with the way a lot of the human stuff is the challenge.
Yeah. I think, with the previous armies we looked at that had battle formations, there were clear winners in the existing battle formations and there were clear losers. And so having some replacements is good. For cities, like the Ironworld Guild army is currently at 51% taken, which is not overwhelming. So, we'll see I think we'll see the Cannoneers taken in replace of that. which will balance things a little bit. But I don't feel that there was a gaping hole in the existing formations that has been replaced.
Agreed. Yep. I really think that we, like, whatever. If it was me, I'll tell you right now, Gareth, I would take the cities book, like the cities index, whatever you want to say, and I would just literally throw it in the garbage and start fresh. Like, I would just completely rewrite the whole thing. I get what they are going for. I just don't think it works. Like, I would just,
I agree.
yeah. Okay. Heroic traits. So, what do we got here? We got any combat phase, draw steel. Declare, if this unit charged this turn, pick a friendly City of Sigmar human unit that charged this turn and is wholly within 12. This would be the target. Add 1 to the attacks characteristic of the target's melee weapons. So, okay, fine. We're doing a lot of work here, by the way, to try to make all of this I read as we're trying to make horsey units better. We're trying to make the human cavalry, which is clearly like they want people to play, but is just underwhelming in the current cavalry, which is shocking. Most heavy cav is so good. Like that Fearless Exemplars would give them a rend if you've got the hero on horse next to them, right? Or whatever. And then this is giving them an extra attack. Like that's what's happening here. Like this is all options to make your cavalry do something, right? Okay, fine. Is it good enough? Probably not. I don't know. Astute Tactician, your hero phase. Pick a friendly City of Sigmar unit wholly within 12 of this to be the target. For the rest of the turn, add 1 to charge rolls to the target and add 2 to run rolls. Okay, this is fine. This is not bad. I like this perfectly fine. And it's nice. It's not like human-based. It's just helping with their speed. Good. Simple. Effective. And then finally, Cosmopolitan Leader. Pick a friendly Cities of Sigmar infantry or cavalry unit that is wholly within 12 of this unit to be the target. If it's human, pick up to 3. If this unit is human, pick up to 3 eligible units to be the target instead. Effect, roll a dice on a 3-up until the start of your next turn. If the target's human, they get +1 to wound. If it's Duradin, add 1 to charge. If it's elf, add 3 to their control score. Okay.
From a TO point of view, this is a disaster again. Just trying to remember all of the caveats, all of the effects of this, and making sure that it's getting played correctly as an opponent to it. I hate this book.
Yeah, I hate this rule. Again, I like the concept. I want more cosmopolitan stuff. That's how they should be working. The book should be built around neat synergies between using humans, elves, and dwarves together. That's the whole story of the Cities of Sigmar. Is like all of the the brave mortal races coming together to defend against the darkness. And it's like, then we didn't write any of that into the rules. This is an attempt at that. But again, it's like so complicated and it still like wants a human boss. And then you're rolling for a 3-up. It'd be like very easy to just fail on units that you critically needed to get the thing on because it doesn't work automatically. Yeah, I don't love it. Okay.
I wish they'd gone for Cosmopolitan in just having mixed race units. Just say that Steel Helms can be a dwarf with a hammer, or it can be an elf with a spear, or it can be a human with a sword.
Gone that.
How you build that unit
100%.
is up to you. Then you don't need all of these different units that just.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. 100%. We need like I've said this forever. In cities, we need like the great sword unit, right? Or whatever. The heavy weapon unit. And it's like full of dwarf hammerers and elven executioners and, whatever, blah, blah, blah. If they still existed, human greatswords, but that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we got 2 new scrolls. Pontifex Zenestra, which surprised me. I thought she was like okay, but I don't think she was taking much. But
nope.
And then the Free Guild Cavaliers, who definitely needed help because they are bad. I got charged. I played a game against Dave the TO of NashCon, like the night before we ran the tournament, and he charged Sigvald with 10 knights, and Sigvald killed his way out of all 10 knights before dying.
Sure.
So at any rate,
it's interesting. Like Cavaliers are currently, I think, the second most popular unit in cities.
Wow.
In terms of games played after Callus and Toll.
That doesn't surprise me.
They're not that great, but they are very popular.
Yeah. I think they just look cool. I think that's honestly what's making people play them. All right, so new Zenestra. Still a priest 2. She's got an any hero phase ability, Word of the God King. Pick an enemy, wizard, priest, or manifestation within 18 inches of this unit to be the target. Effect, Roll a die on a 3-up. If the target is a manifestation, it's banished. Otherwise, inflict an amount of mortal damage on the roll. So this is either 3, 4, 5, or 6 mortal damage because it's not a D3. It's a full dice. It's any hero phase, so she can keep doing it. It's fine. Easy banishment. I don't hate it. Perfectly good ability. And then she's got her new prayer, Sigmar's Will, cast on a 4, or chance on a 4, whatever you want to say. Make a chanting roll of D6. If the roll is an unmodified 1, you can re-roll the dice. Dig it. Okay.
Cool.
Pick one of the following effects to apply until the start of your next turn. Pick up to 2 different effects if the chanting roll is 10+. Enemy units using the normal move ability can't end within 5 inches of you. Of your Cities of Sigmar human units, I should say. This is pure Cities of Sigmar segregation on display here. She only cares about humans. All the elves and dwarves can die as far as she's concerned. So turns your 3-inch, like at base, turns your 3-inch charge into a 5-inch charge. That's fine. Okay. Fervent Prayers. Each time a friendly Cities of Sigmar human model that is wholly within 12 inches of this unit is slain by a combat attack, and that model was in combat with the attacking unit, roll a die. On a 6, inflict 1 mortal damage on the unit after the fight ability has been resolved. So I think you could do this with Flagellants, right? And get 2 bites at that roll, I believe. Because they already do that on a 5-up, I think is what the Flagellants do it on. So then you'd roll one roll for a 5-up and 1 roll for a 6-up, which is kind of funny. And then Salvation. Pick up to 3 friendly Cities of Sigmar human units to be the targets. Remove those units from the battlefield and set them up again wholly within 12 inches of this unit and not in combat. Those units cannot use charge abilities for the rest of the turn. That is the one. That is the very powerful one. Yes, they can't recharge, but the fact that you can pray this off turn, right, and just yank 3 units out of combat in the enemy turn could be very meaningful. So, like, it's just a potent ability. It doesn't let you recharge, which kind of sucks. You're effectively retreating, but pulling up to 3 units out of combat is good. The fact that it's wholly within 12 is very short range. There you
go. I like the 5-inch as well. Adding 2 inches to a charge on top of a redeploy, that's pretty strong.
Sure.
I could absolutely see that.
Absolutely.
But yeah, as Dadbod said, the board-wide teleport is pretty good.
Yeah. The fact that she doesn't have a range to pull them out is exactly the power, right? Like, yeah, they got to set up near her, but she's probably not in combat. Miss 5-up, 4-up, not probably surviving too long if she gets hit by anything significant. This version of her is 250 points, so it is like 80 points more than her existing version.
Yeah.
And that's probably correct. Then you got the new Cavaliers. So 3 health, 3-up save, blah, blah. 2 attacks now, 3s and 4s, rend 1 damage with charge plus 1 damage. And then they have, horse attacks that don't matter because horses are bad. And then they have the red work in any charge phase. If this unit is in combat and has not charged this turn, pick this unit and up to 1 friendly Free Guild Cavalier Marshal or Free Guild Marshal on Griffin within this unit's combat range to be the targets. Roll a die, add 1 to the roll if there are fewer models in this unit than the total number of enemy models in units that are in combat with this unit. Holy God almighty. Okay, cool. Yeah. On a 4-up, or a 3-up if you have less, for the rest of the turn, the targets count as having charged. This is a lot of work to turn back on your charge plus 1 damage on 2 units.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like this could have been written way simpler.
Yes.
And yeah. I mean, and compared to the dry version, they've lost an attack. Is that right? Or
that's right. Yeah, they were 3 attacks before. Yeah, correct.
Yeah, so you're having fewer attacks, but you don't need to charge to get the plus 1 damage, maybe.
Right. So, maybe.
It's just, yeah. This is a side grade at best.
Right. These guys are 160, which I think is like basically the same as what they were before. I think. I don't remember exactly what their points were.
Yeah.
It's pretty close. Not a huge points move, but yeah, I agree. Very side grady. Full credit, as Dadbod said. Yes, this is like the coolest name on an ability. The red work is like a really, that is a baller name for an ability. So that's cool. Okay. So that's fine. Good stuff. Okay. All right. 10 points more. Thank you, NM. Appreciate it. Okay. So overall cities, I don't know what to think about the cities one. I think it's kind of the one I'm the most disappointed in, but maybe that's because it wasn't doing what I want. I don't know if I'm judging it on its actual quality. I think Zenestra's got some real play. I think she's interesting.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure about the rest.
Again, I don't know if this is going to move the needle that much on cities.
Yeah.
Who are not doing great at the moment.
Yep.
But they're not doing terrible. They're like 50-50.
Yep. Oh, that's right. They are +1 better to hit. Thank you. They lost an attack, but went to 3s to hit instead of 4s to hit. Thank you very much.
Yes.
That was the other change. Yes, I knew there was 2 changes. Okay, Kruleboyz. How you feeling about them Cruelies? Where are you living on Cruelies right now?
Yeah, they have not had a good 4th edition. Kruleboyz are they are bottom of the list. I think 41.4% win rate since the start of January.
Rough.
Yeah, that's pretty awful and extremely unpopular. The least played faction other than Bone Splitters. So, yeah, and it's not that people don't have the models; it's just that they're just not using them because this is not good.
Yeah, it's RNG army, right? And that's the problem is that like they can be at the start of 4th. There was like a lot of people were playing them. They had some really strong tricks. A lot of their really strong tricks got nerfed very quickly. And then when they went back to just like needing to roll a lot of 5-ups, it got real rough for them real fast. NM said, as a cities player, I'm fairly happy with these changes. Okay, that's good. Good. So the cities players are happy. All right, that's good. And yes, there is the Cavalier combo, the Cav Marshal strike first. With it also happens on the charge. So, but it's a lot of work. Okay. So Kruleboyz, here we go. Swamp Horde Bullies. Once per turn, army, any combat phase, pick a friendly Kruleboyz unit to be the target. This unit must be in combat with an enemy unit that is in combat with another friendly Kruleboyz unit. Kragnos cannot be picked to be the target. That's a very funny exception. I hate that stupid centaur. He just causes problems, okay? He just causes problems. At any rate, for the rest of the turn, add 1 to the attack's characteristic of the target's melee weapons. So basically, in your combat phases, if you're ganging up, as the ability is called, on your enemy, you get to get +1 attacks for 1 of your units. Okay.
Yeah. Great. I mean, sure.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yep. And then bad-mouthing baiters. That does not sound right. That feels like that's going to be censored on YouTube. All right. So the baiters over here, they've got the cruel mockery. Yeah, they're masters at it. And they how could we not make such a joke? All right, so cruel mockery, pick a friendly Kruleboyz unit to be the insult hurler. Pick a visible enemy unit within 18 inches of it to be the target, then make a dirty trick roll. I should state this is happening in your shooting phase, and it is a dirty trick, so it's going to like potentially use one of your dirty tricks and move your dice number up, and your target number, I should say, stuff like that. Until the start of your next turn, each time the target uses a move ability and does not end that move closer to the insult hurler than it was at the start of the move, inflict d6 mortal damage on the target after that move ability has been resolved. I get what we're going for. I do not think this does anything. Maybe I'm wrong.
You don't?
I don't. Because if you use this on me, like in your shooting phase, right? I have like all the time in the world to start thinking about how to like, just like, yes, maybe you alter my play pattern slightly, but like I was probably coming towards you anyways to go kill that unit, right? What it's going to stop is, well, I was going to move this unit sideways and go take an objective. And it's like, okay, well, if I want that objective, I got to take some damage now, right? But if you really want the objective, you're just going to eat the damage.
Yeah.
Right.
It does stop a piling.
Sure.
No, a piling's not a move ability. Yeah.
I just don't think it's doing much.
The timing is bad, right?
Yeah.
You kind of want it to happen like in your opponent's movement phase would be great.
Sure. Then the problem is then the timing would be off because you'd be using it after they
Oh
already
yeah,
moved,
after
right?
they've moved. Yeah, so opponent's hero phase.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, enemy hero phase I think would be the right timing for this because then you're really putting them on the spot, right?
Sure. And as you say, it's using up a dirty trick. Well, if it was just free, then
If
it'd
it
be
was
great.
free, I
But
might be more interested in it. Yes. The
yeah,
fact that it's
yeah,
like suspect, potentially either I don't care. This is like almost a browbeat ability and what we would call it in Magic, where it's like I put an effect on you, but you get to choose the outcome, and it's either like you take some damage or you do the thing you want to do anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like, and in the end, I'll just if it's important enough, I'll just take the damage. If I needed the
and
objective, I'll take the damage.
I think you're probably just getting some throwaway unit to first dirty trick teleport to behind your opponent,
Sure.
and then you hurl insults at them and say, okay, either you come after this throwaway unit or you come after my real units and you take d6.
Sure. And that's fine. Like in that case, I'd just be like, okay. I mean, like you're
Yeah, I'll
taking
take
a whole
d6.
trick to like once around potentially do a d6 mortal damage to somebody.
Yeah,
That's a lot.
yeah.
We've got some monstrous traits, which is good. We got
Mhm.
Meanin, add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made with this unit's companion weapons. Okay. So for our generic Derek, as it were, potentially, as well as it was a couple other things. You got your Sneakian. Once per battle, enemy hero phase. This unit can use the normal move or retreat ability as if it were your movement phase. In addition, no mortal damage is inflicted on this unit by retreat abilities this phase. That's really good. That's a really good monstrous trait.
It's great.
Like, yes, it's once per battle. I only needed it once per battle. I need it when I need it. And when I do it, it's to win the game.
Yeah, exactly. And it's on your big monster that you've charged in your turn. You've not done enough damage or something, and you need to get out of dodge, and you need to go capture an objective because this is on a monster that could have pretty high movement and maybe fly. So you can go wherever you want, and it's in your opponent's hero phase. Cool. Yeah, great.
Yep. And then toughen, subtract 1 from the rend characteristic of weapons used for attacks that target this unit. Again, fine. Perfectly fine.
Yeah.
So, okay, all the monster traits I'm good with. Those are nice. Their monsters are underwhelming, so getting some monster buffs is, I rate that as a thumbs up. That's good. It's, net positive.
Yeah, this is all free, right? You're not using this instead of something. These are all additions that you're now getting for free. And as Spiriticus just said, they're things that work without a dice roll.
That's right, which is nice.
Great.
Especially in this army.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we have a new Swamp Boss Scumdrek. Our Derek. Derek himself is showing up here. Derek. And then we have the Killaboss on Great Gnashtooth. Oh, is there any more abused unit than the Killaboss on Great Gnashtooth? Literally like a meme, the joke unit of AOS since he launched in 3rd edition. Okay. So, Scumdrek is 250 and the new Killaboss is 160, just a baseline. New Scumdrek, so he's got his stuff, his Snatch a Stick, and it's, a perfectly average attack. It does have crit mortal, which is cool, but otherwise it's like, eh. Yeah, Aki throwing out the super chat. Is that the leader of SoCal United? There you go. Okay. Then we've got, of course, he's got his Bite and Talons, which also have crit mortal, which is cool. He's got his little battle damage thing still. Okay. I would have liked to see them get rid of that, honestly. I kind of like getting rid of battle damage. Some monsters have gotten rid of it. I support that. But anyways, passive. Rigged odds. I gotta say, I actually really like this dude's weird mechanic. I really like these new weird rules. Okay, here we go. The first time you fail a dirty trick roll each turn, give this unit 1 betting chip. So it's only the first time. The first time you do it, he gets a little chip. Okay. All right. And then each time you make a dirty trick roll for an ability that targets a unit wholly within 12 of this unit, enemy or friendly, you can spend any number of betting chips. For each betting chip you spend, add 1 to that dirty trick roll. I like this. I like this.
Auto take. This is, you're going to see him so much now.
Yes. That alone is just like, oh, I really need to get this dirty trick through. Well, I did. Right? Because that's it. That's what this says.
I think he's currently the 3rd least popular unit in the Kruleboyz lists, he's going to become the most popular.
Soggy Derek shooting right to the top. And then he also has Thrashing Tail, once per turn army, any combat phase. Pick an enemy unit in combat with this unit to be the target. Roll a dice. If the roll is less than or equal to the number of models in the target unit, for the rest of the turn, each time this unit uses an attack ability, if all the attacks target that enemy unit, those attacks score critical hits on an unmodified roll of 5 up. This also affects companion weapons. Obviously quite relevant as his Rampage, because he has a bunch of crit mortal and 2 and 3 damage attacks. So he becomes actually quite scary in melee, especially against things that are like basically 5 or more models in the unit, right? Where you're highly likely to get it.
Yeah. I mean, 6 attacks at 3 damage, 5 attacks at 2 damage. Crit mortal is a real thing.
Yep, absolutely. And you're critting on a 5 up, but that ain't too bad. That ain't too bad.
Yeah.
So yeah, Derek, well done, Derek. Okay, the Killer Boss on Great Nashtooth. You've got some. What are you doing here, Killer Boss? What are you bringing to the table? Okay, let's see what you got. So he's got his boss Skewer, anti-hero, and crit mortal, and then he's got his Nashtooth Jaws, which are 2 damage attacks, but nothing else special. Their companion. What can he do now? Well, he's a how do I want to say this? I don't know if we have a term for this. He's an ambushy, mobile guy. I don't know what we call this, but at any rate, there's a couple of units now that are doing this kind of trick, and we need to establish a name for it. But if this unit's wholly within 6 inches of the battlefield edge, you can remove him from the battlefield and set it up again wholly within 6 inches of the battlefield edge and more than 9 inches from all enemy units. So he can teleport around battlefield edges in your movement phase. No dirty trick roll. He just does it.
Yeah. Cool. I think the strength of this is going to depend upon the maps.
Yep.
How many maps have objectives that are within 6?
Yep.
So we'll see. But strong ability. Yep. Again, once per turn army, so it's not going to go crazy. There are going to be people who bring 5 of these things, but only one of them's teleporting.
Right.
Cool.
And then once per turn army, any combat phase, drag them out. This is a very unique ability, but very hard to use.
Yeah.
I love the idea here, but boy, does this read better than it plays. Pick an enemy infantry hero in combat with this unit to be the target. Effect, roll 2d6. This unit can move a distance in inches up to the value of the roll. So just think 7 inches on average, right? Then, if possible, your opponent must remove the target from the battlefield and set it up again within 1 inch of this unit. So you go in, like in your perfect world, there's a little hero who's tucked away. You manage to get the charge around, so you're threatening him in combat, right? Then you do this thing. You roll like 8 or 9 inches away, and you just leave combat, and now you're just fighting that enemy hero alone somewhere over here, right? And hopefully even on an objective or something like that, right? Where you plan to kill this guy and stand alone on the objective. Like, that's your perfect world, right? Executing on that might be a bit difficult against many armies who have like 2 heroes they tuck in between that are small and tucked away.
Yeah, it's interesting that a lot of the combat phase 2d6 move type things stipulate that you have to remain in combat with all of the units or some etc. This one doesn't quite have that.
Right.
But you can, if you could use it in any combat phase, no matter who you were in combat with, and if there was a hero, you could grab it and take him with you, it would be really strong. But you can only use this ability if there's an enemy infantry hero in combat with you.
Right.
If you can't declare, then you can't use the ability.
Right.
So that makes it ish.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, like, it is interesting because if somebody's foolish enough to charge you with an infantry hero, you know what I mean? Like, if they have some infantry hero that charges you, you suddenly get a free move.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's more for the case where they've got some big hammer unit that is relying on an aura from a hero that gives them a ward or gives them plus, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
And you're able to charge in and take that unit out of the aura by moving their hero. That's really the best case scenario. But it's going to come up once every few games.
That's right. I agree completely. I think that's exactly the right summation. Okay, cool.
I will say that Catacross being an infantry hero is hilarious.
Yes, that is funny to grab really Catacross's whole dais and be like, come on, buddy, we're going. Yes. There are some funny infantry heroes you can target with this. Like we mentioned Kurdos earlier, like he's on a big base. He's like got his whole throne and his little ghost friends with
Yeah.
him. And you're just like, nope, let's go, ghost. You're coming with me. So like that is funny. Greyboy says, thank you for the super chat. Greyboy said, Dragum is the best rule I've seen this edition because it is fun and flavorful. Yeah, and I agree with that. I want to see more rules like this. You know, real talk, it reads a lot stronger than it is. But boy, when you do get this to go off, you are going to feel like so good about it, right? It's just, it can be very impactful. High ceiling, high floor. How about that?
That's Kruleboyz, right? I mean,
That's
that is
Kruleboyz.
Kruleboyz.
Yep. That is the summary of the army. All right. Next up.
I will say, just to summarize, I think Kruleboyz are getting a lift from this. I mean, it's difficult not to because they were bottom of the pile, but
Right.
the monstrous traits are just net positive. Gumdrek is massively improved, and I think the Killer Boss is better as well. So yeah, it's a win-win for Kruleboyz.
Agreed. I think they'll definitely net out at least a few percentage points, which is nice. Okay. Next up. OBR. Speaking of Catacross, how nice that we went right to his army next. So, what's your take on OBR here? You know, thinking about it right now, where you think they sit or stand in formation?
They're sort of middle of the pack right now, I think. You don't see them played as much as I would like. When OBR were released, I viewed them as this sort of Roman Legionnaire mass of organized Mortek Guard, and you absolutely do not see masses of Mortek Guard on the table in 4th edition.
Right.
Which is a shame, because they only play super elite, Morghast or Stalkers or something, and they have done that for a while, and I don't like that build. I don't think they should be that. I prefer the ranks of Mortek as a look. But yeah, they're sort of middle of the pack. They don't need a lot of help. They don't need a lot of taking down either. So we'll see what they get.
Yep. So what do we get? Well, we got 2 new battle formations. We got Tithe Guards, which is effectively just the Soulblight rule, right? You pick a friendly, non-unique Ossiarch Bone Reaper's wizard, and then they get to do the Soulblight thing. Again, it's the D3, 2 up, heal that much, or put that many wounds of a model back. Great. Okay. So, fine. I generally hate the bad D3. Like, I really hate this rule. I hate the 2 up on a D3. It's so disappointing often, but whatever. Again, I don't think that's moving the needle for me. I don't think I would pick that over other options. So, but that might be my bias.
I think it depends on your build. I think Kavalos Lancer, Mortars and Council are the 2 most popular formations currently, but they are very specific builds.
Sure.
Like, you're only taking Kavalos Lancer if you're going all horses. Again, if you're going for mass Mortek, you might take Tithe Guards.
I don't know. I think I'd take the next one, honestly, because I think Hecatos Drill Masters is the one I want to take for mass Mortek. So with this one, it's once per turn army. Again, they're both your hero phase. That's fine. You get to pick a friendly, non-hero, non-fly. Okay, sure. Take that. Whatever they are, Morghast or whatever. Yeah. Ossiarch Bone Reaper's infantry unit to be the target. Pick one of the following effects to apply until your next turn. War to 5 up, +1 to charge, or War to 5 up, 1 to charge, 1 to wound, or anti-charge +1 rend. This is my I have masses of Mortek choice, because it gives me actually like really interesting playability. If I can like see what I'm going to be doing this turn or what I'm going to need to do, I can just be like, yes, you're now on War to 5 up because you're going to need to survive something that's coming at you hot. Or I'm going at someone else, +1 to charge or +1 to wound, depending on how close I'm going to be able to get to them, right? Or whatever. So, yeah.
This is we'll see a lot of this in both mass Mortek, but also Stalkers and that kind of stuff as well.
Yep.
I like the fact that they put in that non-fly, because Morghast are good and are too good.
Yes.
So if it had buffed Morghast, then it would have been problematic. So.
Agreed.
Yeah, good choice.
We've got a new spell lore with the lore of Necrothurgy. Again, this is just nonsense words shoved together. Okay, great. That's how I guess all fantasy words are made. They're all on a 5. All right, I like spell lores where everything's on a 5. That already starting strong. Those are achievable numbers. Very good for off-turn casting. Your unlimited spell is Bolster Creation. Pick a friendly Ossiarch Bone Reaper's wizard. Pick a visible friendly Bone Reaper's unit wholly within 12. Till the start of your next turn, ignore the first damage point allocated to the target each phase. This is nothing.
Cool.
Thank you. Thank you for the nothing. Like, that's not how damage works, really. People don't really... I mean, there's a couple of weird builds that rely on, like, sort of splashy damage. But let's be honest. Most of the builds here hit hard, hit fast. And they overkill units, right? So, doing 23 damage to a unit with 20 health or 22 damage to a unit with 20 health is pretty irrelevant. The unit is still dead.
Yeah. Keep that thought for later on.
Yes. And then invigorate the ranks. Same range and distance type of thing. Add 1 to the attacks characteristic of the target's melee weapons until the start of your next turn. Okay, I'm back on board. This I like. Again, for if like I'm running a bunch of Mortek, I like them having more attacks and now potentially +1 to wound or whatever. Yes, this is good. Yes. And then finally, Soul Claim. This is a enemy unit target, 18-inch range. So we cleared the bar. We got that 18-inch enemy unit target, which is like my if a spell targets an enemy unit and does not have an 18-inch range, I'm immediately negative on it. I'm just like, that is too close for my wizards.
Yep.
Effect, inflict D3 mortal damage on the enemy target. If any models are slain, then you also get to heal 3 the friendly target or return a number of slain models. So you get the thing in the Tithe Guards, but better-ish. So, sort of. I don't know what to say about it. I'd have to crunch the odds, but it's roughly the same percentage chance of getting the spell off as rolling a 3 on a d6. So, okay. Fine. What do you think about the lore overall? Is this worth trading out your 5-up critical hits? Because that's really what you're getting rid of, right?
Yeah, there's a +1 attack compared to 5-up critical hit. Like, first of all, I should say that OBR are not a wizard-heavy army, right? You don't see people taking 4 wizards or having 5 casts, etc.
Right.
So, unlimited is somewhat irrelevant in this army. The 5-up critical hits is good, but then +1 to attack characteristic is also good. I think I would play around with this. Yeah, again, the unlimited one I'm not going to use, but the other 2, yeah, sure. If I've only got 2 casts in my army, which is pretty standard for a lot of OBR armies, then yeah, invigorate and soul claim, sure.
Sure. Yeah. Okay, and then we've got 2 new scrolls: the Mortison Bone Shaper and the Mortek Guard. Oh, this is like the first time we've seen like a core, like battle line sort of type of thing get taken. That term doesn't mean anything anymore, but nonetheless. So the Bone Shaper, blah, blah, blah. He has attacks. Who cares? It's not what he's there for. He's a wizard. So what does he have? He's got 2 abilities. He's got a Legion Quartermaster, which is a passive ability. Each time a friendly non-hero Ossiarch Bone Reaper's unit wholly within 12 uses Rally, you get 3 additional Rally rolls. So, okay. It turns your, like, Mortek into rallying on 10 dice or, whatever, because they have a little toot-toot with them. So on and so forth. That's fine. Or 9 dice for other people. And then he has the Bone Shaper, which gives your army access to the replace half the unit ability. It's 1 command point. It's in your hero phase. Pick a destroyed unit, get half the unit back. Okay. Cool. Fine.
I think those are both really strong.
Yeah.
Like they're going to absolutely see him taken more. And I think you can imagine at the start of 4th edition, it was really Soul Blight had all of the healing and recursion. And the other death factions, and healing and recursion really is a death thing, not a Soul Blight thing. The other ones didn't have it. This Soggy is bringing recursion back to both Nighthaunt, or the faction piece as well.
Yeah.
And OBR. And again, is the Bone Shaper going to do much for a unit of Morghast? No, but if you've got 3 units of 20 Mortek Guard, he's really going to help them.
Agreed. Yep. Oh, you're right, Seption. I forgot. The Mortek don't have any toot-toots. Yeah, they got the Standard Bearer and the Champion, but no toot-toot. Okay. So, Mortek Guard. Our Soggy Mortek. Nadirite Blade or Spear, 2 attacks, 3 4s, no rend, 1 damage. Anti-Cavalry, +1 rend. You love to see it. And crit 2 hits. So, obviously, that's your Empower Nadirite, blah, 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 5-up. You know how this all works if you're using the original spell lore. And then once per phase, army reaction, a friendly Ossiarch Bone Reaper's War Machine, monster, or Mortison unit within this unit's combat range was targeted by an attack ability. Okay. So something they are standing literally beside that is either a monster, war machine, or Mortison, which just means harvester, catapult, or all of the various and sundry Mortison people. For the rest of the phase, subtract 1 from the rend characteristic of weapons used for attacks that target that friendly unit. Okay. So, like, if I know you have this ability, do I actually target that other thing if I care that much? Or, like, my issue with this is I don't care most of the time if you take away a point of my rend. Because if it's impactful, I'll just go hard into your Mortek Guard. If it's not impactful because I have crit mortal and stuff like that, right?
Doesn't matter.
Then
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. -1 rend. I'm crit fishing anyways, right? So, but they are 120 points for 10. So, okay. So where do we fall on OBR? How you rating him overall?
I can see the new Mortek Guard getting taken. I can see old Mortek Guard getting taken.
Yeah.
And I think it is a shift. There's a clear shift away to try and get people to stop playing Morghast spam.
Yeah.
And very elite. And I'm all for that. And I think we will see that. So cool.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's some, like, the Mortek here, I don't know as much if I'm in love with. I'm kind of fine with original recipe Mortek with the dry version. But I think nonetheless, there's like the Hekatos Drill Masters and some of the stuff in here does let you play around with Mortek a little more, which is good. Which is good. Okay, last one. And we saved Gareth, a special one. Close to your heart. The best for last. That's right. Okay. The Blades of Khorne. So how do you, I mean, you're obviously a longtime Khorne fanatic. How do you feel about Khorne in its current incarnation?
Well, I guess I should say I'm not a Khorne fanatic. I'm a Khorne demon fanatic.
Yes.
And
you are like me with Slaanesh. I hate all this mortal crap. I got into the army for the demons. I want to be able to play the demons, and I want the demons to be good. You and I are simpatico, just on diametrically apparently opposed sides, even though Khorne and Slaanesh are like should be best friends. But anyways, continue.
In fourth, really, demons have not been that good. Particularly at the start of fourth, like mortals, all of the winning lists in Khorne have been mortal heavy. They tried to make some synergy so that you're incentivized to take a mix of mortals and demons. I don't think it really worked out that well. And so you just saw, Wrathmonger spams, Skull Takers, and the alternative build of Wrathmongers, and Blood Warriors, just mass ranks of Blood Warriors. And those were really the only lists that were doing any good. I've been playing 4 Bloodthirsters, doing fine, but really held up by the introduction of Prize Beast and the second. I mean, I've been running 4 Bloodthirsters, so I get Prize Beast and Bodyguard,
right?
Which is cool. Those are both going away, presumably.
Yep.
So I think my style of Khorne is in trouble, but we'll see.
Okay, let's take a look. Here we go. So we've got the Tournament of Skulls. Once per turn, army, your hero phase, bloody competitors. Pick a friendly non-hero bloodbound unit and a friendly non-hero Blades of Khorne demon unit to be the target until the start of your next turn. While the targets are wholly within 12 inches of each other, add 1 to wound rolls for the target's combat attacks. I don't know who this is for, because the demon units are all crit mortal and stuff like that, and like are on a basically
Bloodthirsters that wound on 2s.
Right, exactly, yes. And so, like, what am I doing here? And by the way, I guess kind of the Skull Reapers wound on a 3, right? So I think moving them to 2s, like, it's meaningful. But, okay.
When I first read this, I did picture a mass cav army. So you've got a mix of the demon and the mortal juggernauts.
Sure.
Just charging in next to each other, getting +1 to wound. Cool. But, yeah.
Right.
The Khorne's kind of interesting. There isn't really a really popular formation right now. I think Khornate Legion, Bloodbound, and Murder Host are all roughly taken at the same amount, and they all have roughly the same win rate. Murder Host is a little bit down on the others, and Brass Stampede is the only one that's not taken. So I'm not sure we needed new battle formations, and I don't know if this will get, if it's good enough to immediately replace any of them, but it'll probably get thrown in the mix a little bit.
Sure.
It's not that much different than the existing, what is it, strike with a demon, and then, no, strike with a mortal unit, and then a demon unit fights immediately, or the other way around. I can't remember what the formation does, but yeah.
I think it would have been cool if it was like the mortal unit gets +1 to wound and the demon unit crits on a 5-up, right? Like that would have been a cool, like actually playing into the how the units work is my biggest issue here. Then we have the Gore Tide. Pick a friendly bloodbound hero and up to 2 other friendly bloodbound units that are wholly within 12 of that hero to be the targets. Add 2 inches to the move characteristic for the rest of the turn. That's right. Did you like Field Sergeant? It's back, baby, for 3 units. So there you go. Great. I mean, fine.
Yeah, doesn't affect demons, so Bloodletters are not getting the move. But it does affect cavalry. So
it does, yeah.
The mortals on Juggernauts, they can suddenly move more. Cool.
I don't know why it doesn't affect demons. I don't get it. I think it would have been cool if it did, but
yeah,
whatever. Okay. Then you got a new prayer lore. All on a 3. Very nice, easy prayer lore. We're sailing here. I like Khorne is ready to grant some gifts. He's happy. Okay. So we got Goreflesh. Pick a friendly Blades of Khorne priest to chant this prayer. Pick a visible friendly Blades of Khorne unit wholly within 12. To the start of your next turn, ignore the first damage point allocated to the target in each phase. If the chanting roll is 8+, you can pick another eligible unit to be the second target. Well, geez, I hated this as a spell that was unlimited. I hate it as a prayer that's unlimited too. So we're not starting strong. Again, bad.
Pass on that particular prayer.
Yeah. No. Okay. Runes of Loathing. Pick a friendly, like I said, all these on 3. Pick a friendly Blades of Khorne priest to chant this prayer. Pick a friendly Blades of Khorne unit wholly within 12, blah, blah. Until the start of your next turn, the target has a ward of 3 up against damage inflicted. When I started reading, by the way, I was so excited. When I saw a ward of 3 up, I was like, oh my God. Then I kept reading. All right. Inflicted by spell abilities, prayer abilities, and abilities used by manifestations, including fight abilities. If the chanting roll was 8+, you can pick another eligible unit to be a second target.
Situationally good, but very, very rarely.
Right.
I mean, this is on top of your 5+ spell ignore you're getting from your altar.
Exactly.
So who cares?
It just feels like this feels like a hat on a hat. I'm not gonna lie, and like situationally useful hat on a hat at that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
There will be that one game where your opponent casts a spell, and you roll your spell ignore, you fail, you roll an unbind, you fail, and then he does this, and then you go, I got a ward, and you feel really good about that because your 3rd attempt worked. But
right, how magic immune can you be? Yeah. And then there's going to be all the other games you play where they've got like one wizard and that wizard just self buffs, right? And it's like, or summons manifestations that are there to buff, and it's like, okay, they like sit behind the line doing self buffs and cogs, and you're like, all right, great. This did nothing. All right, last one. Gift of Apoplexy. That's a fun word. Pick a friendly Blades of Khorne priest, chant this prayer. Pick a visible enemy unit within 18 inches. You can see them keying in to the key stuff here, not to mention it like a 4th time, but the 18-inch range for targeting enemy units. Like, thank you. Just keep up the good work. I just want to really reinforce it for the GW people listening. Effect. Until the start of your next turn, each time the target unit uses an ability that is not a move, charge, or fight ability. After that ability is resolved, inflict D3 mortal damage on the target. If the chanting roll is 8+, inflict 3 mortal damage on the target instead of D3. Okay. I legitimately like this prayer. It is a bit silly. You have to get it. You have to be in position for it, of course. But boy, is there a lot of units that want to use a lot of goofball abilities and stuff like that. And this will just ding the living heck out of them for it. So I don't hate this. It's not amazing. It's not bad.
Like there's Khorne has basically a handful of different priests. The mortal ones, and again, there's nothing so far that has told me I'm going to be taking a demon heavy list.
Right.
So you're taking a mortal heavy list. So your priests are probably slaughter priests or Ramgor ritualists.
Yep.
They don't really want to be at the front. Particularly a slaughter priest who wants to be at the back generating blood tithe for you.
Right.
So I will say that the slaughter priest generating blood tithe and doing damage to himself, the gore flesh is quite nice because he gets to ignore that.
That's true.
The first, cool, but then you're wasting your prayer to do that.
Yes.
So getting 18 inches is still a fairly long distance for your priest to do this, and it's most useful against your opponent's buffing heroes.
Yes.
Who are probably at the back as well. So there will be some games where it's amazing. Like my initial thought when I read through these, as soon as I saw Khorne, the first thing I did was open it up. I saw prayers, awesome, and I read through them and I saw this and I was like, amazing, this is great. And then I noticed it's a separate prayer law.
Right.
And I am never taking this prayer law.
Right. You just don't make this sacrifice for what the basic prayers give you. It's so much the basic prayer law.
Plus one to rend, one to rend unlimited prayer is so strong. Particularly again with the all out defense change, you're going to want that extra rend, and you're never going to take this prayer law for the possibility that this one pops off one game. Maybe, a friendly game against somebody who is bringing Croak, sure, because it would be funny.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
Nagash,
you're going to cast
take that.
Yeah. Or Croak, you're going to cast a bunch of spells. Well, you better be rolling at the end of that phase because I'm going to do some damage to you.
Yeah.
Awesome. But for a tournament, no chance.
Agreed. All right, our 2 new scrolls, the Mighty Lord of Khorne and Blood Crushers. The Mighty Lord of Khorne is 180. The Blood Crushers are also 180. So there we go. The Mighty Lord of Khorne, so he's got a command point ability now that he can use in any combat phase. It has both a move and charge keyword, which is interesting. Meaning like he couldn't use it if other blah, 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 blah things that would shut off charges and moves and stuff. So do heed that. That is relevant. But if this unit is in combat, pick a visible, friendly, bloodbound unit that is wholly within 12 inches of this unit and not in combat to beat the target. Then make a charge roll of 2d6. The target can move a distance up to the value of the charge roll. That unit can move through the combat ranges of any enemy units and must end that move within half an inch of a visible enemy unit. If it does so, the target has charged. It's expensive. I would love it a lot more if it didn't cost a command point. Let me say that.
Sure.
Okay. I think this would be a really powerful ability and good and useful and would make me want to take this guy a lot if it didn't cost a CP. I think having move and charge on it is already restrictive enough, honestly, that it didn't need the CP. But it is anytime you're moving like that, in combat and you're just shooting around, it's strong. Like, out of sequence movement is very powerful.
There will be a game where you manage to get a counter charge off with one unit, and then you get to do this with another unit in your opponent's turn, and you feel really good. But yeah, that cost you 3 CP.
Right.
And it's not only is it a CP, but it's also once per battle.
That's right.
Yeah, once per battle army. So yeah, okay.
Right. I agree. And his other ability, by the way, is just he got back his reality splitting axe. So
yeah, which is yeah. Who cares?
He can kill you. People who care are like the other people who are playing a bunch of like bloodthirsters and greater demons like us who want to run, and then we kill this thing, but he sneaks a wound through, and now we get that end of turn roll of the clench, right? Of like, do I lose my 400-point model on a 5-up roll? But okay. Overall, my honest vote on this guy, he's a skip. It's a skip still.
And he already was. Yeah. It's a side grade, but he needed an upgrade.
Yes. Soggy, Malak. No. Okay. Blood Crushers. All right. Gareth, this is where I say Blood Crushers are one of my favorite units ever. I just love them so much. I think Juggernauts are cool, but I've never liked the Mighty Skull Crushers. I just think the armor dude on top isn't as cool as this demon just like holding on for dear life to this thing. I just think Blood Crushers are so neat. I've always liked them, and they've always been so bad. It makes me very sad. So does this get better? All right. Blood Crushers, like I said, 180, 10-inch move, 4-up save, 6-up, 5 health, blah blah. What they've been. Wait, did they have 4 health before? I thought they had 4 health before. Am I wrong? I gotta think about that. Maybe that might actually be a material move. I can't remember. They've been 4 health at one point.
They had 5 health before.
Okay.
No change.
All right, not a change. Okay. And they changed at some point in the past. That's fine. All right, so all that's fine. Their Hellblade goes from previously it was like anti-infantry with Rend and Crit Mortal, which is not useful as a combination, really.
Yeah.
To charge +1 damage and Crit Mortal, which is way better and actually very synergistic. Because that's awesome. Doing 2 mortals on the charge is great. Still the same attack profile, 2 3 3s 1 1, so that's fine. And then the little Juggernauts Hooves got an upgrade as well, as they get to be anti-cav now. So that's fun. I like more anti-cav. We need more anti-cav in the game, so that's good. And then they have a once per turn army any charge phase. I do not like things like this that are once per turn on an army or on a unit that I theoretically would want to take multiple of, but at any rate, it is any charge phase. If this unit charged this turn, pick an enemy unit in combat with it to be the target, roll a die. On a 3-up, this unit can move 2d6 inches. It can pass through models in the target unit and must end that move in combat. So again, it's a drive deeper into their ranks, right? You charge, like, just the simplest use of it. You're on turn, you charge in, you hit, you roll a die on a 3-up, you get to like move 2d6 again and go deeper in their line to go kill something they're trying to block you off of. Basic idea. How much that will actually happen, I don't know. They're decent sized bases, but not crazy. Yeah.
And they're not killy enough
Right.
to make me care.
Even with the fact they're still on 2 attacks each, right?
Yeah.
If they had moved to 3 attacks, I think we actually would have moved the needle on them. It would materially change the unit, right?
Yeah.
But there's just not enough of these guys. Like, they come in packs of 3. The unit itself, as the guys on top, put out 7 attacks and 6 attacks from the hooves. Even reinforced, it's still like just not that much, right?
Yeah.
So, I agree. They're like, I mean, it's a lot of health for not a lot of points, I'll say. That's probably the only advantage. Like, at 180 for 15 health and 4-up, 6-up, it's not terrible, but I'd rather they be a little more expensive and be a little more killy. That's what I would like.
Yeah, particularly since if you want the health, you go for the Skull Crusher. Or, the Skull Crusher version anyway, with the 2-up save.
Yep.
I don't know what role this is meant to fill.
Yeah, I agree. Like, bad hammer.
They got the additional move, which is nice.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They were 8 inches before, right?
Yeah. Which is cool. You can move them a long way and then you can murder lust, but then they've taken that thing where their only ability works when you charge. So it's a nombo with murder lust.
Right.
Like, yeah. Overall, Khorne's a bit disappointing. I don't think anything here is something that is going to get taken a lot.
Mm-hmm. Alexander Frias says, give those crushers to the Legion of the First Prince. Yes, Sue. Legion of the First Prince still stuck on dry blood crushers. They don't get to use the soggy version. Yeah, overall I agree. Like, Khorne would be my second most disappointing one out of the whole tranche we've gotten so far. So unfortunate. As I think they could have used some cool stuff. I agree. I would have liked to see more focus on the demon stuff, but here we are. All right. Let's close out with just a quick little discussion here for just like 2 minutes on the changes that we know. We kind of mentioned them in passing several times, but I do think they're going to be meaningful. Terrain stuff, they said, is changing. Like, obscuring's different. Place of power lets you do different things. And it's like, okay, what are the actual rules? We don't know. They didn't say. So it's like, fine. Yep. Could be highly impactful. Could be a nothing burger. We'll know when we see the rules. The other big change was obviously they talked about all-out attack and all-out defense, where all-out attack now also gives you a -1 to save for the rest of the turn or whatever, and all-out defense only works against the attack that you declare the all-out all-out defense against. So very meaningful as far as like multi-charging stuff goes. How much of an impact do you think that's actually going to have on the game?
I'm hopeful it will have. No, I'm hopeful it will have a big impact. I'm not hopeful it will be a good impact. Let's put it that way. I think there's a few things that we've seen so far that makes me think they are trying to push us towards more MSU. We saw that with the tactics, where you might want lots of different units, and the change to all-out defense. You're much better off hitting an enemy unit with 3 units instead of 1 big unit, because they can only all-out defense against 1 of them. So I like that play space idea. I like the way they're going, and it was always said that all-out attack, all-out defense were the strongest command abilities in the game. They were in 3rd. They didn't change at the start of 4th.
Right.
So bringing them down is good. I think that it does impact different armies differently. Like, the move from a unit that hits on 4s, getting it to hit on 3s is much better than a unit that hits on 3s, getting it to move to a unit that hits on 2s.
Right.
So Destruction, who all hit on 4s, they love all-out attack, and suddenly they're doing real trouble because all-out attack is a big problem now.
Yep.
The same with any of the big monsters throughout any of the armies. I'm a big monster player. I used all-out attack pretty much every turn of the game.
Right, you have to when you run Monster Heavy. You just have to.
And not anymore, because monsters just aren't killy enough, right? There's no way that a monster is killing a hammer unit, even with all-out attack. And if I all-out attack and don't kill them all, then I am dead, because I lose.
Right, the crackback just kills you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So I can see what they're trying to do. And one thing I absolutely hate is people getting upset about sneak peeks of the GHB one. We haven't seen it all, so who knows?
Sure.
We don't know what's going to happen. But in isolation, I'm a little bit worried that they impact my particular armies more heavily than others. But again, if it increases MSU, then cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think that my biggest concern with the all-out attack, I honestly don't mind the all-out defense change that much. I think that's probably, in my guess, that'll end up being a net positive. Just because I kind of always have hated all-out defense and sort of what it does to the game and how it warps the saves and stuff. But all-out attack will be so inequitously distributed in its effect, right? Because like Varangard don't care. Like, or you know what I'm saying? That template of a unit just doesn't care. They were already heavily invested in crit mortals anyways. They already had a great to hit number anyways. If they needed to all-out attack, they were doing so because they were just like really, really determined to absolutely explode the thing they were fighting. And if they do so, that thing is still dead, and neg 1 to save doesn't matter, right? Whereas exactly what you said, monsters, a lot of destruction armies that don't hit that hard, that kind of stuff, that's really going to hurt, right? Like all your little goblins and stuff like that, they can't all out attack now because they just die, right?
Yeah.
And also there's just a lot of inequitably distributed +1 to hit, where like there's plenty of armies that can just like kind of generate some +1 to hits. So they don't need all out attack as much. They never have to worry about it. They're already using their command points otherwise. Whereas their enemies are under the gun to then, use that ability that gives them a potential bonus. So
yeah. And we saw some of the Soggy Rules have +1 to hit for monsters, so they thought about it, but
right.
My Bloodthirsters don't. So
yep.
Great.
Yep. I hear you. All right. Well, Gareth, thank you much, buddy. I appreciate it. This is great. Thank you for joining me for a whole week of reviews. We got through them all. And hey, for all of you out there, don't worry. We'll be back next week. Gareth, any final thought you want to leave everybody with?
Thank you to Tom for letting me use his room.
Absolutely. It says you flew a long way. And sure. I appreciate your dedication to the stream. Gareth, thank you so much. Audience, thank you so much. Thank you to everybody who super chatted. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, do all those things that make dings be cooler on the way out. That's really, really appreciated. It helps other people find the show. Don't forget, if you want to support us, down below, there's links. There's affiliate links. You're picking up your hobby supplies. Doesn't cost you anything extra. In fact, it often saves you money. It really does help the channel. Thank you to everybody who backed The Art of one more time. I really do appreciate it. Thank you for checking out all those. Don't forget Uncle Adam and I's newest game comes out in about 2 weeks. Follow on Twitter and Blue Sky and Instagram and all that. All the links it's all up there. You can see it up there in the corner. Go give that stuff a follow, and that will be sharing spoilers of what's coming up there. Next week will be a little hotel show, but we'll still be reviewing stuff of what comes out. And hey, I just want to say thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate it. And as always, while I fight with my mouse, we'll see you next Wednesday.